Hi, everybody, and good afternoon wherever you are in KELO land, South Dakota, Iowa, Minnesota, wherever you may be catching us this afternoon. Welcome to Brookings, South Dakota, and Coughlin-Alumni Stadium on the campus of South Dakota State. Jackrabbit football live on your KELO land station this afternoon. It is homecoming here in Brookings, Hobo Day, and an excellent crowd has turned out on a chilly afternoon in South Dakota. We were hoping for maybe something around 55 or 60 degrees today. We got about 35 and wind chills in the teens to about 20 degrees. Some snow flurries earlier about a half hour ago here in Brookings, but turning out to be a pretty decent afternoon for football. I am Tom Neiman from KELO Land TV, joined in the broadcast booth by former Jackrabbit football coach Mike Daly. Welcome back, Coach. Thanks for joining us.
Well, this is fun. I've been to almost every game the Jackrabbits have played since I got out of coaching. I haven't been this high up in the stands since then, but fun to be here. Appreciate the offer, and I look forward to a great day.
Cold, how does cold affect your game plan, or does it when you're talking football? Does it have any effect on what you do?
Well, the weather's going to affect the fans a lot more than the players. Once you get into the football game, you're just really not going to feel it, I don't think. The hands for the receivers will be a little cold. The hardest thing probably is that the fact that the ball will be a little harder than normal, and that's going to have an effect. Flipping it, for Mankato State, they've got to kind of be excited about the fact that it isn't a perfect day, because if you're going to pull an upset, usually they occur in weather like this. It's just easier for crazy things to happen, and I'm sure they woke up in the morning and were smiling when it was less than perfect.
Tough South Dakota kids, you know. State comes in at 5-0. Mankato State, on the flip side, is 0-5, but they have played some very good teams. We'll talk more about the matchup in a minute. Let's bring in Travis Fossing from KELO Land Sports down on the field. Talking about Josh Ronick a little bit all week. He got hurt last week. And Travis, what's the update on that?
Now, will you please rise for the playing of
Had a chance to talk with Josh Ronick earlier yesterday, and he was out on the field. He does have a lot of mobility back in his shoulder, almost up to 100%, but right now he is not able to play. He hopes to get back into action coming up at North Dakota State next week.
All right, Travis, so we'll get more with Josh Ronick coming up at halftime. Separated his shoulder in the ball game last week here, and he will be out today, but he's about the only one that he thinks he's going to play today, but he won't be in action today. He'll be dressed, but he won't be playing. And let's take a look at today's matchup. As we said, South Dakota State coming in tied on top of the conference with two other teams. North Dakota State is also 5-0, but the Jackrabbits come in with a 5-0 mark. They're looking to go 6-0 today for the first time since 1950, and that would be something. 9 wins is the most ever by a South Dakota State football team, and the Jacks are chasing down that record. Hopefully they can catch up with that one of these years. Mike, 7 wins. You got to 7 several times in your coaching career. It's a tough conference to win 8-9 games every year.
Well, it really is. Yeah, to get to 7, you got to be a very good football team, and we really felt good about what we were doing towards the end, really throughout the years. But to get to 8-9, that's the step you have to make, and John has made that step. And one of the big reasons is Ronick. And he's done a great job.
All right, we'll get set with the kickoff here in a couple of minutes from Coughlin-Alumni Stadium, South Dakota State and Mankato State, and we'll do it right after this timeout. All right, Minnesota State at 0-5, South Dakota State at 5-0, looking to go 6-0 for the first time since 1950. And the Jackrabbits, Mankato State came out, won the toss. They deferred. South Dakota State will get the football to start the ball game. They will defend the south goal. So Mankato State takes what wind there is. Not really a lot of breeze out here this afternoon, but it is pretty chilly.
Yeah, I'm not so sure how to have done that. I'd hate to put the ball in South Dakota State's hands right away, but I know Mankato State's got a lot of confidence in their defense, more in their defense than their offense, and maybe they can create something big right out of the chute.
Paul Behrens will kick it off. Brock Barron for South Dakota State. Josh Buckles, number 80, back to receive, and this is Buckles from his own 14-yard line. Little wedge to the left side across the 30, the 35, and out across the 40-yard line, about the 40.5 for Buckles, young man out of Aurora, South Dakota.
I think it was Kevin Brown. He returned one for a touchdown last week. In fact, I missed it. I was in the bathroom, and he ran the opening one back. He's a heck of a returner.
Brown, a redshirt freshman out of Colorado, Commerce City, Colorado, did run a kickoff back, the opening kickoff last week for a touchdown. Also had a punt returning against Morningside for a touchdown as the Jacks rolled it up. And they come out with Andy Rennerfelt, quarterback, the senior out of Oakland, Nebraska. He's number 13. And they go to the one-back, Scott Nedved, and they swing it out to Chris Gary, junior flanker out of Sioux Falls for a couple of yards. And Rennerfelt, one thing, he has been very consistent, high completion percentage.
Yeah, he's played great football. What they got there, they had 3 receivers on one side, and Mankato didn't adjust, and they had a 2-on-2 matchup out there, and that quick screen is very effective against that.
Gain of about 7, going to be 2nd and 3 for South Dakota State at their own 47. It is Buckle split left along with Gary this time. Rennerfeld again to Chris Gary. First down yardage and then some. Finally brought down at the Mankato State 47-yard line.
Well, you can tell right away that, again, it's a trip set. The trip set is the hardest thing in football to disguise your coverages against. And what they're trying to do is get Mankato to shift over to a 3-on-2 over there and then run the ball weak. They really think they can do that.
With Josh Ronick, the all-time leading rusher at South Dakota State, out of the lineup, they're not going to change really what they do. They'll put Nedved at the one back and go.
They're just going to go after it. They really feel that Nedved is a great player, and he is. They can isolate an X and O a little bit more out of this trip set in the one back than you can out of 2 backs, and they're 3 out of 3 for throwing. They threw it 3 times in a row, and obviously they're trying to loosen them up with a pass. They do want to get back to the run, however.
Incomplete that time. Adolph Shepardson, a junior out of Sturgis, South Dakota, just back from injury this week, but he is back in the lineup, so it'll be 2nd and 10 for South Dakota State. Rennerfeld will set him down. This time they go dual backfield. Mark Nelson, number 44, is the up back with the give to Scott Nedved out across down to the 40-yard line. They'll bring him back to about the 42, and it's going to be 3rd and long for South Dakota State.
Well, that was the first time they went 2 backs. They ran the football with it. And they predominantly do run out of the 2 backs until the defense gets too many people up. Mark Nelson has really done a great job blocking for Nedved or Ronick all year long, and one of the reasons they're getting so many yards is both the blocking of he and obviously the offensive line.
Flags were down. Penalty against Mankato State is going to take the ball all the way down to the Mankato 27-yard line.
And that's exactly what Coach Runkle said can happen. The only way he really felt that they could win this football game was to play mistake-free. And when you start out with a big 15-yard penalty like that or more, that hurts you.
And coming into the game, they've been the least penalized team in the NCC in the first 5 games. So 1st and 10 for the Jackrabbits, 27-yard line of Mankato State. Brock Barron split wide left, Gary in the slot right. Shepardson to the right, and this time they come to Barron, their leading receiver so far on this season. Good yardage down to the 18-yard line, gain of about 9.
And Mankato State is continuing to play a 7-man front against 3 wide outs, and because of that, you always have soft corners, meaning that short hitch pass is always going to be there, and Andy's confident enough to just keep throwing that until they roll up on the coverage. We'll see a lot of that.
2nd and 2, they'll send Barron and Shepardson. Split right. Nelson again at the fullback spot with Scott Nedved, the sophomore out of Yankton, South Dakota, at the I-back spot. Rennerfelt on 2nd and 2. Here's Nedved. A little block from Nelson, but going to be just short of the first down. It's going to be 3rd and about a half a yard, looks like.
Well, they've got several plays to get this. That was, I think, a good play to call. They usually go to the tight end side in that formation. They went to the split inside, and Mankato State just defended it well.
3rd and call it 1 at the Mankato State 18-yard line. Opening drive for South Dakota State. Scott Nedved really got 297 yards on the season, 192 of those coming last week against Morningside when he really got his first chance to be the main ball carrier for South Dakota State.
Yeah, and he did that in a half of football. Josh played most of the first half. Here's a bend play. It's wide open. Again, now what they did that time is they started the play to the wide side, to the weaker side of the running formation, and then broke it back into the short side. And Nedved, watch him all day. He runs with his shoulder square to the line of scrimmage every play, and because of that, he can find whatever hole he needs to, and because his shoulders are square, he can hit it regardless of where it's at.
Nedved at 6'1", 220 pounds, a little bigger back than Ronick, who goes about 5'9" and 200. But first and goal now for the Jackrabbits at the 9-yard line, called the 8.5-yard line of Mankato State. Nedved again, this time brought down in the backfield, going to be a loss of about 2.
Well, the first time he went 2 tight ends, 2 backs, 1 wide receiver, and middle linebacker shot the A-gap on the short side where, again, South Dakota State likes to run the football, and he got past the fullback, made a good play. So you see right now, there he comes behind the fullback, and the fullback just didn't see him.
Number 4 is Dewey Riley, linebacker from Tomahawk, Wisconsin for Mankato State. Their leading tackler made the stop that time. Second and goal now from the 11-yard line. Rennerfelt looking across for, I believe that was Adolph Shepardson.
That was a great defensive play. They had man coverage, and you play mostly man when you get down this far. And he got inside of him, but then the defensive back just was able to get the hand inside and knock it down. He used his backside hand, so if he did not make the knockdown, he could have made the tackle. It was a great play.
So third and goal now for South Dakota State, just outside the 10-yard line. Gary in the slot right, Barron wide right, with Shepardson split left, Nedved in the backfield. Here's Rennerfelt.
It's 2-on-2 up on the top. I think they'll... Ooh. Obviously, they had too many people for South Dakota State to block on the backside of that formation. And I think Andy probably should have seen that and possibly automatic to a different play, a good defensive play by Mankato, both scheme-wise and football-wise.
Scott Carlson, linebacker out of Big Bend, Wisconsin, came in and made the play. So that'll back the Jacks up to their own 20-yard line, and a 37-yard field goal attempt coming up by Andy Nelson, redshirt freshman out of Hudson, Wisconsin.
He's kicked well this year. He's 8 for 11, and longest kick's been 50. So this is definitely inside of his range. Snap was a little short, and the timing of the play was off right from the start, and Holder really never got the ball set right.
And pushed it like a little 9-iron shot, but missed the green. So Mankato State bends but doesn't break on the opening drive for South Dakota State. Mavericks will have the ball when we come back.
To satisfy your hunger and quench your thirst.
So a missed field goal attempt on the Jackrabbits' first drive. They take almost 5 minutes off the clock in the opening quarter here, but Mankato State will take over offensively with a kind of had some quarterback problems this year. Andrew Shea, a sophomore out of Glenwood, Minnesota, will get the start. T.J. Schroffnagel, one of the best running backs in the conference last year, is number 20. He's their leading ground gainer, a junior out of Mayville, Wisconsin. 3 touchdowns on the year. He's ran for, only averaged 60 yards a game this year, but he ran for 1,200 last year. They've just kind of had some offensive problems.
They really have, and South Dakota State's defensive coaches really respect him as a running back. The problem they've had this year is a quarterback, and because he can't do anything at quarterback, he has to run the ball all the time. He can gang up on it.
Shea will set him down after a gain of about 6 on the opening carry by Schroffnagel. They give it right back to him, going left side this time. Close to first down yardage, might be about a half a yard short.
That was kind of interesting play. They had the H-back or the fullback type person in the slot between the tight end and the tackle, and he came back across and trapped the backside defensive end. And I don't know if they've used that before. I didn't see tape, but that was a well-designed play.
It is a first down for Mankato State. Keep an eye on number 46 in the middle of that South Dakota State defense. That's Kyle Harrelson, junior out of Bruce, South Dakota, went to Sioux Valley High School. He's their leading tackler. So Shea sets him down, 1st and 10 at their own 30-yard line.
Now this is exactly the same kind of play. This time they use the tight end, number 84, to block. And they must feel that the weak side is soft because of the flow of the linebackers, and they're really attacking it with a misdirection play. Here's as he comes back, you can see the tight end leading the play. There's no defensive back to turn it in, and they've got 8, 9 easy yards there.
Second and about 2.
Phil Oxness, one of the linebackers, and Harrelson finally bring him down, but 8-yard pickup.
Here's the same formation. You see 84's in the slot there, in position to come back on the run. That was the lead play, or the ISO play, it's exactly the same play they've been starting out in. Before they pulled the tight end, blocked the backside. This time they let up and had a good game.
Schroffnagel again on the carry. First down, Chris Reiner, number 42, the defensive captain for the Jacks, in on the tackle that time, along with Justin Jacobs, senior out of Green River, Wisconsin. Travis Lindekugel, Matt Anderson, Matt Peterson along that defensive front for South Dakota State.
Again, the kind of the flex slot formation. They're motioning to trips here. 3 wide receivers, 1 side.
Option Schroffnagel this time. Avoids the quarterback tackle in a game of about 5 yards again as they're knocking it off in big chunks here early.
Yeah, they are. And this is one thing that they were concerned with South Dakota State on defense is what Mankato State's doing very well right now is using a lot of motion to get an extra man. Here they're ending option. They've got the corner blocked, and they make some good yards. But right now, with the motion and the tight end coming back across, they're getting an extra man at the point of attack.
Keith Canupi made the tackle along with Lindekugel there. Timeout. A little blood on the elbow, looks like, of Schroffnagel. T.J. Schroffnagel, the running back, will come off. Bobby Ruffin out of Benson, Minnesota, will come in to replace him. While we've got a second here, we'll tell you about South Dakota High School's football championships coming up November 3rd and 4th. That's Friday and Saturday from the Dakota Dome in Vermilion. And we'll have all 6 championship games live, 4 of them on Friday and 2 again on Saturday. South Dakota High School football championships on KELO TV. 2nd and 5. Mankato State's already picked up 2 quick first downs on this drive. Here's Ruffin straight ahead for minimal gain this time.
That time they put the formation into the short side of the field, which usually means that they'll motion back wide, which they did to even out the formation. That was the inside dive, and linebacking group from South Dakota State played that very well.
It's Canupi at the middle linebacker, Kyle Harrelson, and Phil Oxness, that linebacking core for South Dakota State.
From New Underwood, Canupi, way out there in the west side. He's a good football player. Recruited him and enjoyed recruiting.
3rd and 4. Shea to pass this time. Got his man out of the backfield. That's Colin Bryant for first down yardage, and then some all the way to the South Dakota State 42-yard line.
That time they motioned again to create the trips and flooded the formation, and then the back delayed out of the backfield. So the linebackers were back deep, and then you can see by the replay that he pops out right here. He's hitting and now releases and is wide open.
So Minnesota State will set it down. 6:24 to go, opening quarter. Another first down for the Mavs.
South Dakota State's coming.
Schroffnagel again this time. Reiner's got a beat on him, and Chris Reiner will pull him down, but he gained him 5 yards.
That was fortunate that he played that well. They were blitzing. I think South Dakota State felt the play was going to go to the tight end side and blitzed both linebackers on that side. They bent it back to the weak side, and fortunately Reiner's was there to make the play, or that's in. The negative of blitzing is you're in man-to-man, and if you ever pop it, it's over.
2nd and 5, Mankato. In motion again, the big man, Chad Hermsdorf. 6'4", 250. They got those big tight ends, and the lead block this time, Schroffnagel slipping down after a gain of 2.
I'm impressed with this drive. They've used, I think, a different formation on every play. At least sometimes it's been in the field, sometimes to the short side of the field. They've used 5 or 6 different motions. I don't think they've run the same play twice, and that means probably means they're scripting their plays, Tom, where they know what they're going to run the first 10 or 12, and then they go from there. Here's the slot, the tight formation with the tight end in the slot. Looks like there's some confusion.
Mavs will have to call timeout. 4:57 to go here, first quarter. Minnesota State Mankato on a drive. We'll see what they can do with it when we come back to Brookings. Third and 3 for Minnesota State Mankato at the South Dakota State 34-yard line.
They've got 2 plays to get it. Their kicking game isn't super, so if they don't get it this one, they'll go for it again.
Andrew Shea gives to T.J. Schroffnagel. First down. Got it by about a yard down to the 30-yard line of South Dakota State.
Well, I think just that play alone shows you why they respect him. That was an inside play that Schroffnagel bounced to the outside when everything was closed off. And he was running lower than Josh Ronick usually runs. His shoulder pad's 6 inches above the ground, and you really can't stop a 3rd and 1 if a back does that.
Big Trevor Rolfs, 315 pounds out of Lakeville, Minnesota, one of those offensive linemen for Minnesota State. Another first down, 4 first downs on this drive for the Mavs. 30-yard line of South Dakota State. Schroffnagel again, and he had a knee down right at the line of scrimmage, gain of about a yard.
If he could have bent it back, all the way back behind the tight end, South Dakota State had lost advantage back there. They had sent the linebacker inside, defensive end was inside, and it could have been a big play, but he couldn't get back and was shut down pretty good.
2nd and 9.5 coming up for the Mavs. Time ticking, 4 minutes to go, first quarter.
It's a fast game. They got the strength into, which means they're motion wide, which they're doing.
Ryan Heller in motion, Shea being chased, but he's got first down yardage all the way down to the South Dakota State 15-yard line.
That was a naked play. By naked, mean that everybody on the football team, tackle to tackle, showed run, came back against the play, the formation, and receivers were down, but the containment completely broke down for South Dakota State. Shea did a good job running the ball.
Cody Franzen came from the linebacker spot. Shea eluded that and had clear sailing for him, so another first down.
When I was coaching defense in Division I, I was just amazed people didn't run that play every time. It's a tough one to stop.
Ermsdorf, motion again, comes back, lead block for Schroffnagel. Now this time Chris Reiner comes up and a loss of 6 on the play.
That was a time that Shea probably should have automatic. South Dakota State had brought their secondary player up into the weak side to stop that play, and the quarterback probably should have checked out of it, because as you can see right now, there's 2-on-2, and offensive football doesn't work on the ground game when it's 2-on-2 and the tackler's wide open to make the tackle.
Bill Oxness out of Laverne, Minnesota, came up, took on the blocker, and then Reiner made the stop, so 2nd and 16 coming up for the Mavs.
Two tight end.
Straight ahead gives Schroffnagel again some decent yardage, gain of about 5, but it's going to be 3rd and 11.
South Dakota State's favorite blitz is what we call double-edge blitz. The outside linebackers come up on the outside, man-to-man in the secondary, and it creates an 8-man front and tough to run against. And Coach Eder had a good call there and called it right into the play.
So 3rd and 11. Minnesota State's only attempted 2 field goals all year, so you would believe they've got 2 goes at it here.
Coach Eder said they were going to come after him on 3rd and long, and here they come. They had an X-blitz that just popped.
Oxness on the blitz, and they get Shea all the way back at the 34-yard line.
That was pretty. They, if we get the replay, we'll see that the linebackers actually X or cross, and it just it looks like we aren't going to be able to see it, but they cross, and it really messes up the blocking scheme. But the key was that once he tried to get out of the pocket, containment had been established, and there was just nothing for the quarterback to do but go down.
Matt Peterson, the defensive tackle out of Hayfield, Minnesota, just got a fingernail on the jersey of Shea and brought him down for the loss. Keith Canupi was also there, and 3rd and a mile now from the 33-yard line, and they will attempt
last week
up for a 50-yarder anyway.
Last week, Minnesota State had all sorts of trouble on the kicking game with a snap, and there it bounced to it, and way short.
So they trade missed field goals here in the first quarter, and with a minute 2 to go in the first. Zeros on the board. You called it, Coach. A missed field goal for the Minnesota State-Mankato Mavericks after South Dakota State missed theirs on their opening drive, so the Jacks will get it back.
Looks like the wind is coming up just a little bit more. South Dakota State might try to run it here just to get it when the field is switched.
Runner Rennerfeld sets him down. Here's Nedved. The lead block from Nelson. Good spin by Scott Nedved. Gain of about 7.
The defensive back tried to make the play there. Outside linebacker really went for the strip of the ball rather than the tackle, and that allowed Scott to, to get another 5 yards probably. Very unproductive tackle.
There's John Stiglmeyer, the man from Selby, South Dakota, was an assistant at South Dakota State.
I hired him
many
3
years.
times in my life. Hired him as a student assistant back in '75 when I was coaching here. Then at Wisconsin as a grad assistant, I hired him, and then when I came to South Dakota State, he was the first guy I hired at defensive coordinator.
Big in his 4th year as head coach. Here's Nedved again. First down yardage for Scott Nedved, all the way out to the 47-yard line of South Dakota State.
That was what we call 2 tight end trips formation. Trips meaning 3 receivers on one side. It's usually a running formation. Minnesota State did not adjust to the formation, and they had no one in what we call the alley, which is the area between the tight end and the first wide receiver. Nedved bounced it outside, and pretty easy yards.
How about this score from Sioux Falls? Augustana at the end of the first quarter. Augustana 3, North Dakota State 0. USD leading St. Cloud at the end of the first 10-0 in that ball game. So the Coyotes and the Vikings both leading. No score here in Brookings at the end of the first. Big Chris Bockel, one of the offensive linemen for Minnesota State, getting some instruction. Will you flip it around here, Jax?
This is
Going
an
north to
unbalanced
south now with the wind.
This is an unbalanced formation, which means the tight end and the 2 wide receivers are both on the same side. And the purpose of that is to get a one-player advantage if the defense doesn't flip someone right with a tight end. Defense didn't flip anyone, and 6-yard gain just on the numbers game, on the X and O game.
Scott Nedved again piling it up. Chris Paul, number 89, that tight end we're talking about, 260-pounder out of Alexandria, Minnesota.
Came in as an offensive lineman and never got as big as we thought he would, but he always had the great speed for a big guy, and moved him to tight end. He's had a very nice career. They're going to go unbalanced again.
Paul on the right side of the line this time. Barron split wide right, but Rennerfeld again will hang on to it. He's looking long. Incomplete out there.
Well, that was a well-conceived play. They went the unbalanced. They faked it to the short side. Man-to-man defense in the secondary. The coverage was not there. Just tough pass to catch, but it was catchable.
Here's Matt Arcades, number 84.
So he's behind everybody, and unfortunately, Andy brought him back into the middle, which you really don't want to do. And you just couldn't get after the ball.
Arcady, 12 catches, one of 3 guys with at least a dozen catches on the season so far. So Rennerfeld's been spreading it around. Andy Rennerfeld's thrown for more than 200 yards in the last 3 games. Whipping it this time and nearly intercepted.
Wow. That was a little bit scary. I think they felt that Mankato or Minnesota State was going to be playing man-to-man defense there, and they weren't. And they throw a little quick out route that the defensive back was all over.
Rainey Briggs, one of their senior defensive captains, had it right in his hands.
One thing, I think they'll come back to that, because I thought the corner at the bottom left the wide receiver streak pretty quick. And so maybe within the next couple series, I think you'll see them going deep to the wide receiver off that same action.
So on 4th and 5, Jason Langland, the young man from Brookings.
This is interesting. Punt receivers back on a 5. Usually you tell your punt receivers to put your heels at the 10. Don't move back, because the ball hits inside of there is exactly the wrong thing to do for them.
Travis Hill had a hand on it, and Coach, you called it again. Jack Travis will have it at the Mankato 3-yard line.
Well, those are mistakes that Minnesota State just can't make, and that is just going to give South Dakota State a great opportunity to do anything they want. Again, the punt receiver made an error in judgment, both in how he originally lined up and then how he made the play, and South Dakota State took advantage of it.
And look who jumps on it. Chris Quayle played quarterback at Sioux Falls, Washington High School. He came in here. They made him a long snapper. Coach Stig just loves him. So he snaps the ball, comes down, makes the recovery for the Jackrabbits, and puts them in great shape here at the Minnesota State 4-yard line.
And you get so excited when a kid like that makes a play. in a big football game. They run the ISO to the backside. Again, Nedved is really cutting back against the flow, which tells me Minnesota State's linebackers are really flowing. The other thing with that is the offensive linemen just need to cover up their person, stay locked down, and there's going to be some hole in there someplace.
Brad Beck on that offensive line, the lead block that time, senior out of Esterville, Iowa. Gain of about 3 for Nedved, going to be second and goal from the 2-yard line.
This is where South Dakota State has been very good all year. They have just not squandered an opportunity to score down here. And one of the reasons is they just give it to Nedved or Ronick and usually put it in. Good defense by Mankato or Minnesota State there. They did a nice job of closing that off.
Kind of submarine the line, didn't they? They got Brock Zierden, 325 pounds, South Dakota State does, on that left side of the line, and they kind of piled him up. And
they're going to run behind him. You know, over the right side, Matt Rock is a great football player, pro prospect, and really has been hurt all year. And the tendency now is to then go run behind Zierden. He's huge, he's big, he's good, he's ornery. He missed a couple games because he's ornery, but that's where they're going to run the football in critical situations.
John Hodorf out of Hot Springs comes in, full house backfield this time. Scott Nedved, touchdown, Jackrabbits.
And really,
behind Nelson.
I think the replay will show that they didn't get everybody blocked, but he was able to shrug off a linebacker that had slipped through there with just good hard running. Yeah, right there, the guy got through, but he just was outplayed by Nedved. You know, when you have a second-string tailback that can run for 200 yards and a quarter and a half last year, and then come in here, start for I think the first time in his career, and he's dominated the football game so far. That's really neat. And a credit to him that he was able to hang in here, knowing that Ronick is going to be around for 3 more years when he came.
Scott Nedved, 6th touchdown of the season for the Jackson. Extra point tacked on by Nelson. South Dakota State with a 7-0 lead here in the second. A Scott Nedved touchdown run gives South Dakota State a 7-0 lead, 12:36 to go before halftime.
Well, that was what South Dakota State needed. Their first drive kind of fell apart towards the end, and then they made the big play on the turnover and took it in pretty easy. Now they've got the wind to their back on the kickoff, and I would guess the field position should be pretty good here.
Nelson with the boot. Evan Blanks back about 5 yards deep. Oh, it's just right there, 20-yard line. They'll start out.
It's just such a luxury to just kick it through the end zone or into the end zone and have the offense start on the 20. I don't know what the percentages are, but there's a huge difference between an offense starting on a 20 and the 35 and the number of times they're going to score on that drive.
The South Dakota State University Festival of Cultures is coming up Friday, October 20th. Frost Arena on campus here will be alive with the sights, the sounds, the taste of the world for everyone to enjoy. You're all welcome. Admission is free. Come to SDSU for the Festival of Cultures on Friday, October 20th.
I used to go to that all the time. It was up in the PE Center and just ate basically all day long. It was a heck of a deal. First down, Minnesota State tried to run, and South Dakota State's defense was all over it.
Loss of about a half a yard for the Mavs on first down, second and a short 11.
This is what Minnesota State doesn't want. They don't want a second 11 because now the pressure's on the quarterback. He is not the best player on their football team, and South Dakota State will try to take advantage of that. Canupi really got out there quick for middle linebacker to get in on a play.
Andrew Shea's completion good to Chad Hermsdorf, senior out of Madison, Wisconsin. Gain of about 7, still going to be third and almost 5 for the Mavs. Let's kick it down to Travis Fossing quick. You got Greg Eder, the defensive coordinator for South Dakota State. What's on his mind, Travis?
Yeah, right now, South Dakota State on defense, really looking to contain Minnesota Mankato, really mixing things up, going to the right side and left side, running the option and the pitch, and really they just want to contain to the middle and keep it inside of the field. They saw on first down, that's exactly what they did, and they stuffed to the first run.
You know, one of the things there that if you're in the stands, you'll notice the wide receiver on this side was split on kind of a what's called a cheater's split. He was way outside the numbers, which means they're just trying to take the corner out of the play and play 10 against 10. And they ran the ball away and really just didn't have much of a chance to make that play go.
Scharfnagel's carry about 3 yards short of first down, so on fourth from their own 28-yard line, the Mavs will kick it away again.
This is a new center from last week. Last week they put 2 over the head. That's a scary one. That's one of the things you worry about right there in bad weather and a wind situation, those short punts, because you have your back to it as a return team. Fortunately, people got out of the way, and South Dakota State has great field position.
And that's Ryan Dutton for Mankato, averaging 42 yards, one of the best punters in the conference, but just a little shank off the side of the foot that time. Coming up Sunday on KELO TV tomorrow, our noon game, Indianapolis against the New England Patriots, and then the late game, Denver and San Diego. That's tomorrow. NFL Today starting at 11 o'clock, and then the games at noon.
Now they've got Kevin Brown in here. He's got great speed. They've been trying to throw the ball up the field, and here he's doing it.
On the sideline, wide open, flags down to the backfield. Brown with the catch at the 28-yard line, but this one is going to come back.
Oh, that's too bad, because you hold on to that play, you hold on to it, you sneak them in the backfield, you know you're going to run them up, you get the man-to-man coverage, and then there's a penalty. That's too bad. That went just like they hoped, but didn't pan out.
Holding against the Jack.
Another look at that going on as Rennerfeld kind of stumbled, and Brown kind of got hung up coming out of the backfield, but the hold, multiple holds, will bring it back.
Yeah, the play really just never clicked. The timing wasn't right from the start. He did get wide open, but now they've got the strength into the short side. Usually when that's up, something's up. Something different's happening.
First and 20, Chris Gary in motion. Rennerfeld looking that way. Gary the catch, and a great play made by the Mankato corner, but a gain of about 5 is all.
The biggest mistake I thought I made at South Dakota State when I was coaching is not recruiting Kirby Gary, Chris's brother. Went up to UND, was a captain, had a great career, and John, obviously being smarter than I am, recruited his brother, and he's having a fine career here.
Giovanni Jenkins, corner out of Minneapolis, made the stop for the Mavs that time.
41-yard line.
Second and 15.
These are tough situations. Now, you get in these long yardage situations, and Mankato's coming after him, would be man-to-man defense.
Little timing pattern. Barron was there, but another good play.
Well, one thing you try to do there against man-to-man on that fade route, it really can be one of two things. As you throw the football, if the wide receiver is deeper than the defensive back, you just throw it and get some air under it and let him run into it. If the defensive back is ahead, closer to the goal line than the wide receiver, then you underthrow it, and it's really impossible for the corner to cover it. Unfortunately, they didn't read it right, and he underthrew the receiver right where the DB was.
Kind of the Randy Moss route where you just throw it up.
Exactly.
Great play that time by Marcus Owens, the Mav cornerback. 3rd and 15 for the Jacks. Rennerfeld got Chris Paul in the middle, but he'll go to the outside again. Gain of about 7, but it's going to be 4th and 8 coming up for the Jackrabbits.
Minnesota State did a good thing there. The NFL teams are doing this so well, mixing up the coverages, and half the side of the field is zone, the other half is man-to-man. That side, it was zone on the short side, but a man-to-man read for Andy on the wide side. So I'm sure he threw to the short side thinking he was going to see man-to-man coverage, and it was zone, and they just were able to converge on the football.
And Nedved out of the backfield was probably not the first guy he was looking at. He didn't want to throw short.
The zone will cover the deep guys and then just break up on the short guys. Exactly right. Now, see, if you look at the receiver now, he's got his heels at the 10 where he should have had it the last time. And if it goes and let it go, I had a quick coach there.
Another good kick by Langland, but Blanks will let it go this time. And with 8:37 to go before halftime, we are going to step aside. The Jacks will be on defense when we come back. They lead it by a touchdown. A gray, chilly afternoon in Brookings, South Dakota. Coughlin-Alumni Stadium. It's homecoming here for the Jackrabbits. They lead at 7-0 against Minnesota State-Mankato. Chad Hermsdorf will put it in motion again as Andrew Shea dropping and looking long this time. Got a man out there, but defended well by the Jackrabbits. Dale Hayden, the senior out of Watertown, on the coverage for South Dakota State.
That really was good coverage because by design, I think a safety should have been back there, and he got sucked up on that run fake. It was the same play that they ran the first play of the game for about 10, 12 yards, but Hayden came over the back, had enough coverage, forced the quarterback to throw it long, and the play wasn't made.
Dan Weldon, the intended receiver, he's their leading receiver for the Mavericks. 17 catches, 3 touchdowns, but nothing yet from Andrew Shea, the sophomore quarterback. Set him down on 2nd and 10. Option, Schroffnagel was there, but they took away the pitch, man. Shea this time picked up his 20 and then some, about a 21-yard gain out to the 41-yard line.
Well, that time, Minnesota State can't do that. Had the chalk last on the X and O chalkboard. They just had the right play against the right defense. The option was there just based on what was played. You see right away the coverage on a quarterback, it breaks down immediately. Pitch is taken, safety's blocked, and all there's left to do is tackle it for a 20-yard gain.
Jason Melcher, the free safety, finally came over, but Mike Kuhl was the cornerback there just doing his job, taking the pitch man.
Yeah, exactly right. If you'd taken the quarterback, they would have pitched it for maybe even more yards.
Shea again looking same side, this time nothing doing, and dives ahead for about a yard.
And that option, it's a great play, I think, if you run it a lot, but if you run it just every now and then, you might pop it once, but eventually you're just not going to move the ball with it. There's so much finesse to run an option. Remember, North Dakota State used to run it. They just executed it like
Benjamin was deadly with it.
But they ran it 100 times a day in practice for 5 years. So by surprise, twice in a row. I don't know.
Dan Weldon split left this time. Mavs go a little pro set. Schroffnagel, the lone back. They'll give it to him straight ahead and gets tripped up.
Well, the thing that really was good there for South Dakota State was the penetration the defensive lineman got, and it took away that bend. To bend the ball back, to cut it back, you have to have a soft line of scrimmage. He didn't have it, tripped over his feet, and no gain.
Dallas Clarkstein, one of the backup defensive linemen for State, getting the job done that time. 3rd and 9 for the Mavs from their own 41-yard line. Jack's coming this time. Oxness, same there. Shea being chased by Linda Kugel. They've got a man wide open at the 30-yard line, and the catch is made there by Joe Cowardine.
I think if I were the official, I would have had a call that he came in from out of bounds. I don't know if we'll catch that on the replay, but it looked like the wide receiver went out of bounds, and once that happens, they're not supposed to be able to come back in. The pocket broke down, which is the worst thing that can happen on a blitz. As you can see, he got outside. Now the offense is going to win most of the time when it gets outside. The ends just have to keep the play inside when there's a blitz. Don't even go for the sack.
Hayden had to come back and recover to make the play, but Cowardine with the big reception. 1st and 10 Mavs at the South Dakota State 31-yard line. Schroffnagel back to the ground attack, gain of about 2.
Really, right now, South Dakota State's defense is really playing well against the run, and I think eventually it's going to be the fact that they're just going to have to, Shea is just going to have to keep throwing it, or they're just not going to be able to put many points on the board.
Shea coming into this game had only 13 completions in the first 5 ball games. He and Ryan Dutton had kind of been platooning at quarterback, but Shea gets the nod today. And in Mankato's defense, they have played some very tough teams in those first 5 games.
Yeah, I think their schedule's been the toughest all year, but we've got South Dakota State's got this one defended. When you defend the option, what you do is you try to have 3 people for the 2 parts of the option. So you have 1 on the quarterback, 1 on the pitch, and 1 in what we call the alley. And as you see this play develop, you'll see that's exactly what they do. There's a player for everyone plus an extra one to make the tackle if the pitch is made or the quarterback cuts out.
Travis Lindekugel, the big man from Pierre, came up to make the stop. Canupi was also there. So 3rd and 8 coming up for the Mavericks.
This is South Dakota State's down this year. They're a great 3rd down defensive team, so like 25% of the time. is all they've given up completions on it. So hopefully that continues here.
Shea with a little pop pass to one of his tight ends, Colin Bryant.
Yeah, Jason is upset with himself, Melcher. He didn't make a productive tackle, which really now gives him a 4th and a 5 and a chance to make it, where 4th and 10 probably would have been a different story.
Well, at the 25-yard line, it'd be a 42-yard field goal attempt from here. The Mavs have already missed one field goal attempt.
Melcher's dad was a coach in high school for 30 years, good coach, and I'm sure he'll be visiting with him about the tackling style when they go out to eat tonight.
4th and a long 4, call it 4th and 5 for the Mavs. Hermsdorf in motion. Shea sets him down. What's the throw? Backside Oxness this time, and the ball's loose. Wouldn't have mattered anyway. State would have got it either way, but Bill Oxness finally on the blitz, and he gets his man.
And as I mentioned, the favorite blitz for South Dakota State is the double-edge blitz. 2 guys coming, and they come from the backside and the front side. Doesn't see it coming, and they're all over the play.
Oxness had been close about 3 times up to that point. Jars the ball loose.
Now, the other thing is Shea, if he played more, would have noticed that the defensive backs were looking right at the wide receiver rather than at the quarterback. Means man, means blitz, and he would have got rid of it sooner.
Justin Jacobs, I believe, made the recovery for South Dakota State. So Rennerfeld will give to Scott Nedved, breaking loose, 45-yard line. And hopefully they don't get Barron there for a hold, but a flag is down right at midfield, and they're going to bring this one back.
I think we'll want to run this back if we can anyway, because you'll see something that the fullback does here that is just absolutely super. The fullback's the guy that created that play. He had an onside block to the right, saw a linebacker coming from the left, picked him up. And now watch this. Here's the fullback coming back. He blocks the linebacker coming from the backside, and there's no one there. And so that play was created by the fullback, run by Nedved, obviously, but unfortunately they're bringing it back.
John Hodorf, the great block, but they just caught the end of it there. Number 4, Brock Barron, the wide receiver, was the guy they flagged for the hold right at midfield. So,
no, South Dakota State has really outplayed Minnesota State in this football game, yet it's 7-zip, and that makes you a little uneasy when you go into that locker room at half. If you can be 14-zip, you feel a heck of a lot better, but 7-zip, one mistake and the game's tied. So this is a big series for South Dakota State and Mankato State right now.
Jacks have been rolling it up 39 points per game coming into this one. They've been over 50 twice already this year.
One of the things that happened there, Kevin Brown has been doing super on the field goal or the kickoff returns, the punt returns, that type of stuff. Hasn't played a lot of tailback. And the timing is different on the pitch with every back because Ronick's out, Nedved moves up to 1, Brown moves up to 2, and all of a sudden they're running their third tailback. Probably he's only ran that play 25 times in practice all year, and the timing wasn't there, and unfortunately it's a bad play.
Brown a little quicker back there. Wants to get to the line of scrimmage, maybe a little quicker than Nedved, who kind of thinks his way a little bit. But
in offensive football, I mean, speed's everything, but patience is too, and timing.
Rennerfeld across the middle, got Gary again. Chris Gary for a gain of about 10. Going to bring up a 3rd and 7, though, for South Dakota State, 3rd and 6.
And really, that was a good play on both sides of the ball. Minnesota State gave him half of it, which is okay, but South Dakota State, half of them was good enough. Chris Gary really did a nice job of finding the opening in the middle of the field. He curled up, the linebacker split, he slid into the middle, and then Rennerfeld led him in there as well. So that was a play that those two young men have down timing-wise. They're both seeing the same thing.
Rodney Francois, another redshirt freshman, will come in at the tailback spot. Barron split wide right for South Dakota State, 3rd and 7. Rennerfeld had Gary in the middle again. Chris Paul couldn't quite hang on. It would have been short of a first down anyway.
Yeah. Pretty soon, Tom, Brock Barron's going to catch one down the sideline or up on the tight post. The corner is just leaving him way early, and he's just wide open. He'd probably throw that one more time if I were the offensive coordinator and then go for the bomb.
So the Jacks can't mess around with this one. 2:13 to go before halftime, but from their own 36-yard line, Langland's going to have to kick it away.
He's had a solid year punting. His average isn't that super, but it was Northern Colorado game. He continually put opponent down in the 5 and the 10, made it the long field, and sometimes averages and everything.
Evan Blanks will finally get a chance for a return from his own 19-yard line. Again, Quayle is down there. And a big hit on the special teams. Coming down, Craig Martin Moss out of Falcon, South Dakota, making the play on special teams. Timeout on the field, 2:01 to play before halftime. Hey, we got to salute the KELO crew out here this afternoon. We're used to working indoors, Mike, down at the Dome with those high school games, but when we decided to do this game a couple of months ago, we were hoping for, 60 degrees, something like that, maybe.
Life is tough all over.
It is, isn't it? Scharfnagel, the block by Hermsdorf, big yardage. First down and then some across midfield, out of bounds at the Jackrabbit 48-yard line.
South Dakota State really needs to make a play. I alluded to that just before the break, that 14-zip, much different than 7-zip. Now it'd be really different than 7-7. And well-designed play, good block, as you see by the tight end coming across on a counter play, and Scharfnagel just sees the opening and gets there. 84 is really doing a nice job blocking the tight end that they're using almost like a fullback.
Doing it again here, Hermsdorf at 250 pounds. The lead block at the gain of about 3 this time as the Jacks kind of sprung it out that time, but Scharfnagel picks up another 3.
But that's really impressive. That kid's is a pretty big kid, and if we get a replay, we'll see that he rolls his hips on the defensive player, which enables then the outside to open up for the running back.
2nd and 8, clock ticking at 1 minute 20 seconds to go before the half. Trips left this time, passing formation, and Shea will get it out to his man, Joe Cowardine, who made the big catch earlier.
That was very similar to, Tom, the play that South Dakota State came out the game running. That's the first time they've had 4 wide receivers in the game. And they had a 3-on-3, which, again, offensively, if you can get 3-on-3, you feel like you can win the battle there.
Chris Reiner, you see, made the great tackle there, coming off, holding his left forearm. Well, keep an eye on him, but he made the stop. It's going to be 3rd and 2 for Mankato coming up here. The Jackrabbit Club at South Dakota State provides scholarship for the student athletes of South Dakota State University. Call 866-GO-JACKS for information on how you can be part of the Jackrabbit future here. 1-866-GO-JACKS for the Jackrabbit Club.
Talking about that, one of the neat things about the kids that are at South Dakota State is how good of people they are and how good of students they are. And grade point average wise, South Dakota State's student athletes are usually at the top of the conference in those all conference, academic teams. And that money when it's provided them goes a long way and goes to a lot of deserving people.
Chris Reiner out of there for the moment. Brandon Thiesey, 47.
Fairmont, Minnesota.
It's your old country.
You bet. That's how we played back in Fairmont, back in the late 60s, right there. Impressive, hard-nosed football.
Shea was trying to back his way over, and I'm not sure he got the first down, but Mavs go for it anyway. They got 1 timeout left, a minute on the clock, and the clock stopped here by the officials, but...
Yeah, that was, I think that was a broken play. If we see it again, I guess we'll see, but something just didn't go right on it.
Bring the sticks out, but 7-0 Jackrabbits here as we approach halftime, and South Dakota State missed the field goal on its opening drive, did get a 2-yard touchdown run out of Scott Nedved here in the second quarter. And let's take a look at that last play.
Well, what the quarterback did, he kind of did a pause and then tried to sneak it, and he must have seen a gap to the right that was closed by defensive movement. And that's one thing Coach Utter said they were going to do, is move the line a lot feeling that Minnesota State's offensive line wasn't real mobile, and that time it was to South Dakota State's advantage.
Corey Fisher made the stop on that last one, but
they won't sneak it again.
Linda Kugel, Matt Anderson on that interior front for South Dakota State. 4th and about 9 inches here, and Shea gets outside this time. About 4 yards.
You know, this is really interesting what they're doing on that. You can only cover so many gaps, and South Dakota State had every gap covered from the inside the tight end on both sides, and the quarterback just took the ball and found the one gap that wasn't covered.
Justin Jacobs, the DN for State, crashed down hard, and a little confusion at the line of scrimmage. Call off the play. 45 seconds left, though, and Minnesota State trying to answer that touchdown by the Jacks.
Well, here's where you kind of hoped, if you were Minnesota State, that you had this real experienced quarterback that was used to knowing exactly what you could do in 40 seconds. They don't. But I'm impressed with how he's playing. He's got some athletic ability. He's been making things happen, and he's playing with a lot of confidence for his first true start, I think. Shotgun. Wide splits with a shotgun. That might mean quarterback draw or something. That's usually you don't see those huge splits in a passing situation.
Heavy pressure again. He had to unload it over the middle and overthrown, but Phil Oxness again on the blitz.
Yeah, great blitz, and there was room to blitz in there. The splits were so wide that usually if you tighten them down, you can trip up some blitzers, even though if you don't block them. See how wide the splits are? They're spread way across the field. Usually that means inside run, and tough to block a blitz when there's that much space between each offensive lineman.
Joe Ford, the young man out of Brandon, with the coverage that time for the Jackrabbits.
I understand he was a transfer from the University of Sioux Falls and playing a lot. There's another young man out there that did the same thing. Really good players. Here comes the blitz again. The X blitz is popped every time. Creates a man-to-man.
Ford was out there. That was up for grabs for Joe, and he kind of got dragged down by the receiver.
Wow. Yeah,
Brian Heller was out there for Minnesota State.
That's the third time that South Dakota State's used the same blitz where they X the linebackers. Minnesota State hasn't come close to blocking it yet. And see why we won't be able to see it. There he comes. He came actually from the left side, came all the way around to the right, and they're not. They must be man blocking and getting picked because otherwise you wouldn't be that wide open coming through.
Kyle Harrelson again, the junior out of Bruce, South Dakota, on the blitz with 4th and 10 here.
And they're coming again, four wide outs.
Harrelson is there. Shea, nothing doing this time, and the Jacks fall on it at the 50-yard line. Matt Anderson with the recovery for South Dakota State.
Well, I think you can see why Minnesota State's 0-5, and this is the stuff that's been going on for them. Even though they played tough teams, you know, you go into a shotgun and snap it over the head. It's tough to get anything going when things like that happen.
Tough to throw a pass when you're running the other way.
Yeah, it's they're just out of sync, Tom. They really are. You watch it and you can just see it.
The pressure by Harrelson, the recovery by Anderson. What do you do here with 26 seconds left?
Well, I was conservative. Obviously, John isn't. I was just excited to go into half, ahead a little bit. John goes a little bit more for the juggler. And now they're going to get attacked on. I think things are coming unglued for Minnesota State. And you look at South Dakota State's kids, and they sense blood a little bit. And I think they're going for the juggler.
Matt Arcady made the catch, and then the hit out of bounds right there.
Now, this is when I think eventually you're going to see it thrown to Brock Barron deep. They've been hitting that short one, hitting that short one, hitting that short one. And although there's not a lot of field to hit it deep here, eventually they will, or they'll just try to hit it into the intermediate zone. It's a setup. You get some, setting it up, and then boom.
Personal foul on Jenkins, so 1st and 10 for the Rabbits down at the 26-yard line of Minnesota State. Arcady goes back wide right. Barron is wide left. Single coverage out there. His man coming up tight this time. Rennerfeld not even looking at him, and here's Arcady down to the 15-yard line. Jackrabbits got a couple of timeouts here.
Yeah, they must like that matchup they have down with those two guys, Shepherdson and Arcady. He really is looking at that side.
So with 17 seconds left, Jacks will use one of their timeouts.
Well, they've done a good job. They still have 2 left. There's 17 seconds. You can actually get, 3 more plays off probably in that amount of time. So, they're in pretty good shape right now, even though it doesn't seem like there's a lot of time left.
We've got football on your KELO station. We'll have girls basketball coming up in mid-November. The girls State A tournament from Watertown, November 16th, 17th, and 18th. 4 games on November 17th, all the first-round games, and then the semifinals on Friday night and the championships on Saturday night. The girls State A tournament from Watertown this year. A lot of good teams in girls Class A in South Dakota this year. Clark and Wagner and Wessington Springs and Parkston and Redfield all battling to get to the tournament.
You might have a chance to try one draw or something here and still have 2 throws into the end zone. They're man-to-man defense again.
Looking for
Barron on that side pocket. And that was great defense. The pass was good. The route was excellent. He ran up the sideline, gave himself enough room to have the ball thrown to the outside and move away from the defensive back. Watch now up on top, just perfect. He pushes him out. The quarterback takes him out, but the defensive back, that's you put that in your training film and you show how to play a fade route.
Redshirt freshman out there, Marcus Owens.
And maybe that's why they're going away from that, but that matchup is just one that they really respect.
12 seconds left. Ritterfeld's got to hang on this time, and that is a fumble. Looks like the Mavs are on it at the 21-yard line, and that will kill the drive for South Dakota State.
I think we'll find out that the left side tackle, I think that's Zerden, just got beat one-on-one. Actually, they had a 2-on-1. Zerden should have taken this inside guy, and the outside guy. Back had 2 guys to protect against, and that numbers don't work very well.
Scott Carlson, the linebacker, came in, caused the fumble for the Mavs, and they'll get it back with 6 seconds left, and you talk about them maybe falling apart a little bit, but they're down by 7 points.
That is a tough one for South Dakota State. You just don't like to go into halftime coming off a play like that. The change of emotions unbelievable. If you score there, you go in flying. You go in now, and you're licking your wounds a little bit, even though you're ahead 7-zip, and you're all in the locker room. You're going to feel different. Mankato's going to feel good, and South Dakota State's going to feel bad in the score 7-zip. And because what happens that last 10 seconds.
Yeah, you got to think we missed a field goal. We've turned it over a couple times. And we're still up a touchdown.
Yeah.
We got a half to play, and we're going to catch up with John Stiegelmeyer here as they come off the field. But a touchdown run by Scott Nedved, the sophomore out of Yankton, South Dakota, the only offense in the first half. And that came in the second quarter after a scoreless first. And the Jackrabbits with a 7-0 lead. Let's kick it down to Travis Fossing on the field with State head coach John Stiegelmeyer.
All right, thanks a lot, Tom. Coach, it's only a 7-0 ball game. Offensively, there were some mistakes out there, but defensively, you got to be real happy with the way your team's playing.
Yeah, we're doing okay defensively. You got to play a complete game. And offensively, we shot ourselves in the foot. We've had 10-yard penalties. We have holding penalties when we run it down here. We fumble here. Too many errors. And if we can get those shored up, we'll be fine.
Without Josh Ronick in the ball game, you've gone to a couple of backs, a lot of guys that haven't been seen a lot of times, a couple of fumbles there, but overall Scott Nedved running the ball pretty well again today.
Scott Nedved's a great back, and he fills in very well. He'd have a ton of yards if we were doing our job. If we weren't, when you get 2nd and 20, you can't run the ball very long. We got to throw the ball. We just got to stick to our game plan, do things right.
All right, thanks a lot, Coach.
Thank you.
Good luck in the second half. 7-0 at the half, as you mentioned, playing some pretty good football on both sides of the ball, but those mistakes is really what's shooting the Rabbits in the foot right now.
All right, Travis. Thoughts again, Mike, before we take a break here?
Well, it is a game of, I think since I've got out of coaching, I didn't realize when I was in coaching how big mistakes were. That if you can just go out and play basically a perfect football game, you have a great chance to win, no matter who you're playing. And you look at South Dakota State here, they're obviously the better football team. But they have really shot themselves in the foot, as John said. And the mistakes have come at exactly the wrong times. Times when they could have gained momentum. They lost it because of mistakes. And it'll be interesting to be in the locker room, because I think there might be some chewing that hasn't happened probably in the locker room at half for quite a while at South Dakota State.
Big's a nice guy, but he can get after it, can't he?
Oh, yeah, he can get owly. He can get owly now.
All right, 7-0 at half. Jackrabbits with the lead on Hobo Day here in Brookings, and we'll be back with some of the halftime festivities after this. All right, Mankato will have the ball to start the second half here. Andy Nelson will kick it off for the Jackrabbits. Other scores at the half in Sioux Falls, North Dakota State with a slim 10-7 lead over Augustana. Northern Colorado leads Nebraska Omaha at the half, 7-0. Omaha unbeaten so far. And USD is laying a whipping on St. Cloud, 20-0 at the half. The Coyotes with the lead in St. Cloud. Nelson will lift it. Evan Blanks will take it at his own 5-yard line. Across the 20, doing a little dancing across the 25, and that's where Minnesota State will set it up, 1st and 10, and they have outgained South Dakota State offensively here in the first half anyway. That is a big surprise.
Yeah, it really is, and this series, I think, is a big one, both times. If Minnesota State can move the football, it's going to help them, obviously, both confidence-wise and possibly points. South Dakota State wants to come out and show that first half was a fluke. And so this is a big series right now, I think, in determining who will eventually win the football game.
The big man, Harmsdorf, in motion again. Andrew Shea sets him down, the sophomore quarterback. Here is T.J. Scharfnagel, the junior running back out of Mayville, Wisconsin, had 62 yards rushing. That's right at his game average. He had that in the first half.
Well, he looks a lot like he did last year right now, and one of the reasons is the blocking he's getting on him. It's not rocket science. 84, the tight end, is doing a great job coming back against the grain, blocking people. He's all over, and to Scharfnagel's credit, he's finding the gap and either bouncing it outside or taking the alley or the crease.
Got about 6 yards on first down, 2nd and 4, just across the 30 for Minnesota State. Hermsdorf again goes away.
Looks like they're going to spread it out a little bit more. And
straight ahead, Scharfnagel this time. The corner fell down, and it's a foot race with Reiner running him out of bounds at the 31-yard line.
So much of defense is leverage on the football. If you start out behind the ball, you should stay behind the ball. If you start out in front of the ball, stay in front of the ball. And the corner on the backside, now watch right here, who has got backside containment, comes across, Scharfnagel cuts it back, and now there's no one. That's a major problem when a corner gives up containment that deep in the secondary.
Casey Hillman just kind of got sucked in a little bit and slipped on the cool turf, but Scharfnagel all the way down to the 31-yard line of South Dakota State, and Minnesota State in business there as we open up the second half. Scharfnagel again.
Good penetration by the defensive lineman. Now, one of the things they're also trying to do is, again, I mentioned earlier in the game, they're splitting the wideouts way out. And then that basically takes the corners out of the game, and it's a 9-against-9 game if both of them are split. And then they're motioning to get the safety to move over. There's no one backside, and the cutback is there, and that's what happened on the first play. And you have to expect that they'll go back to it probably fairly soon.
They had a knee down back at the 33, 34-yard line. So 2nd and 13 coming up.
Now, this time, they didn't go across with it, and they were sitting as they tried to cut back. So immediate adjustment by the players and Coach Etter, and you stopped the same play. They went for 40 yards last time. Third down. This is a big play right now. This ball's on the 32, and this is the biggest play of the football game so far, I think.
3rd and 11. Shea will set him down just outside the 32-yard line. Bobby Ruffin in the backfield with Scharfnagel.
So far, South Dakota State has blitzed on every 3rd and long. And here the quarterback feels he is going to, because he's bringing in an extra blocker for protection. Took too long doing it. They must have had a play that didn't allow them to protect the number of guys that South Dakota State could come with.
We will take a timeout also. It'll be 3rd and long for Minnesota State when we come back. All right, 3rd and long for the Mavericks. 3rd and 11.
Again, pressure has been the tendency for South Dakota State here. Here it comes again.
Bring the backers from the outside, but one-on-one and a great one-handed catch made out there by Dan Weldon for Minnesota State.
South Dakota State got a little lucky there. The wide receiver got the post. He had to cut to the middle. The quarterback threw it behind him, but Hillman couldn't recover fast enough, and they got a heck of a gain. The problem with the blitz is if you do get it blocked, it's one-on-one, and after a while, that one-on-one is going to break down.
First time the pockets really developed around Shea, where they kept everybody out. So a first down on the big catch by Dan Weldon. 17-yard line, and straight ahead, Scharfnagel again, maybe got 2 yards.
And that was, again, the same play. They had the big play on early in the game, and South Dakota State kind of has that one figured out, as does Minnesota State, has got the blitz of South Dakota State figured out, getting it blocked. And so I think both teams are going to have to make a little adjustment right now.
2nd and 8 coming up for the Mavs. Ball at the 16-yard line of South Dakota State.
The nice thing for South Dakota State here now is if they do blitz, they don't have a lot of ground to protect, and man-to-man defense is a lot easier. Naked play.
Cowardine with the catch at the 15, inside the 10. Nice move there, and runs into Hermsdorf, but Joe Cowardine, excellent moves to get into the end zone.
Well, when we go back to it, again, this is the one we called the naked, and if we get to see it on tape, we'll see that it truly is naked. The quarterback, the old bootleg, used to pull a guard. There's no guard pulling, and so the quarterback's doing it on his own. The wide receiver looks like he's blocking backside, then goes to the flat, and there's no one there if the linebacker pursues hard. Now, the rest is really good play by the receiver and poor tackling by the quarterback. See how everybody blocks run? The line just, no head popped up, so the secondary couldn't read that it was pass. They read it as run, and they made the most out of it.
Great move at about the 6-yard line to get in, so Barons will come on to try and tie it up. And just like that, on the opening drive of the half, Minnesota State on a touchdown drive to make it 7-7 on the touchdown connection. Andrew Shea to Joe Cowardine.
Well, the big series. I said it at the beginning of the half. That's a big one, and Minnesota State's the one that took advantage of it. And now you're going to have a heck of a football game for the next 28 minutes.
The Orthopedic Institute, Burger King, and the American Heritage Association for their care of SDSU athletics.
Minnesota State-Mankato looking for their first win of the season. They've been up against some tough foes. Northwest Missouri State, Minnesota Duluth is unbeaten in the Northern Sun Conference, and they've come back to tie it up here at 7. Jacks will get their first shot.
Well, this was the way they played Northwest Missouri. They played them really well for 3 quarters, and then it kind of fell apart. And, you know, the longer a lesser team stays in the game with the upper team, you know, the more confidence they gain, and a little more nervous that team that's supposed to win gets. Short kick.
Here's Kevin Brown, the dangerous return man for the Jacks, out across the 40 and all the way out to the 44-yard line.
He really has great quickness, and he finds the hole. Now, there's a heck of a wedge that develops in front of him, and they locked up elbows, which is illegal, but and then they got a good wedge on the coverage team, and there's really a lot of room to run.
Rennerfeld will run him out. South Dakota State, there's friendly folks up here in Brookings. An open house coming up October 13th and again on the 30th. This is a chance for prospective students, high school kids, parents, anybody that wants to know more about attending South Dakota State. You can come up on those dates on the 13th and the 30th of October. Call 1-800-952-3541 for more information on an SDSU open house.
Well, now we'll see what South Dakota State thinks it needs to do to get the offense going. They run a twin. They come out exactly the same way they started the football game, out of a different set. A quick pass. Tom, you mentioned as we were talking at halftime that they haven't even been looking at Barron, and I think that was a good call, because the first play they looked at Barron and made it 6-7.
Second catch of the game for Barron. Just 2 for 15 yards, though. He's their deep threat. leading receiver on the team, so it'll be 2nd and a short 1 coming up. But they haven't thrown it vertically much. They've been throwing it to the sideline.
Yeah, exactly. And I do think that's a bit of a setup. In a 2nd and an inch, here's a great time for play-action pass. And go for it all. They chose not to.
Nedved gets the first down, however, inside the 45-yard line of Minnesota State.
And I think that shows you the mindset right now at South Dakota State. They know that this is a tough football game. And when things are rolling, you're in sync, you're moving the ball, I guarantee you throw the ball off a play-action pass right there. But they just want to get first downs. First downs have turned into scores, and scores turns into wins.
Just underway, 3rd quarter. Mankato took the opening drive of the second half, stuck it in the end zone to tie it up 7-7, and the Jacks' first drive here of the second half, just inside Minnesota State's 45-yard line, and nothing doing this time.
What defensively, Minnesota State is doing what we call bouncing the lead draw outside. The place that it's designed to go is inside the tackles. And whoever's taking on blocks is taking it on. Now watch up on the top. They're taking it on inside, which forces the play to bounce outside, and then the linebackers and the twist people are scraping the outside and making the plays.
Ted Evers, the big stop that time for Minnesota State, loss of 2. 2nd and a long, 11 coming up for State. They send Matt Arcady to the right. Split backs this time with, I believe that's Hodorf. John Hodorf in there. Rennerfeld straight drop. They go downfield. This time Arcady again. Another catch inside the 35 and some good moves. They get down to the 28-yard line.
That was a zone defense that time for Minnesota State. They played a little bit more man than zone normally. And a lot of times when you play zone, after playing a lot of man, your linebackers have a tough time staying inside the curl. Now look at 84. He just works inside, finds a hole, and the linebackers, who aren't great zone players, just don't fill the throwing lane.
Finally brought down by the pursuit from the interior line, but Arcady 3 catches now. And a 1st and 10 for
State. There's the hole. There's the curl.
Chris Paul will set it down right side of the line. Nedved and some good penetration again this time by Minnesota State. Lubin Joseph on the tackle.
Well, they popped the defensive lineman just totally free there. One thing South Dakota State has not done this year is given up many tackles for losses, and that was about as close as you can and not be a loss, I guess, which means what Minnesota State's probably doing is moving their linemen quite a bit. And South Dakota State's huge, and sometimes that quickness of a defensive lineman moving unexpectedly creates the big play.
State goes about 300 average all the way across that front 5, and that's Minnesota State about 260 average on that defensive front.
Looks like Minnesota State's coming. Man-to-man coverage. That's what we're talking about, Barron. And number 1,
Marcus Owens again has been stuck on him all day.
His coverage is excellent. Now, if Zerden is called for this, he's already been ejected once, suspended for a game, and this would be a bad deal. Whether it's right or wrong, we can't see that. But if he is called for that, there's a problem there.
There's Dan Runkle, 20th season at Mankato.
Runk and I go back a long way. I was assistant at South Dakota State. He was assistant at USD back in the early 70s. And he went with Joe Salem over to northern Arizona and then up to Minnesota when Joe went up there and then took over the Mankato State program at that time. And he's done a great job. I think they've fallen on some tough times now. The recruiting has not been as good as it was for many years for whatever reason. I think one of the things is the emergence of South Dakota State and UND as great football programs that are taking away kids. But his hair's a little grayer. Tummy's a little bigger. I noticed that. He said the same thing about me, though.
So the personal foul does go against Zerden. He and Rainey Briggs got into it, but Zerden gets whistled for the penalty. And it is 3rd and 25 coming up for South Dakota State. Rennerfeld looking for all of it. That's Shepherdson out there, and just couldn't quite catch up with it in the end zone.
Very impressed with the coverage that Minnesota State's putting on the wide receivers of South Dakota State. As you watch state football this year, they've been popping wide open in the secondary all year long, and that has not been the case today. They're trying, but
again,
Minnesota State's covering.
Coverage was Marcus Owens again, redshirt freshman out of Minneapolis, and he has done the job on Barron and anybody else who's dared to come out there.
Here's where they'll try to punt to a sideline. And this is something that punter's been excellent at all year.
Jason Langland back at his own 45 when he lets this one go. Evan Blanks back to receive for Minnesota State. This one might get a pretty good roll. Can they catch up to it? Yes, and that man again, Chris Quayle, long snapper, goes down and keeps it in play at the half-yard line.
That's something, and you know, their only job is supposed to be to get the snap off, you know, and then if they remember to cover. And he got down there quick and made a heck of a play. Put a little draw on that ball, or a little, he brought it back, a little spin on it, because the punt just almost stopped dead. And great job of keeping it in play and then getting on it.
We'll take time out here. 99 yards to go for Minnesota State when we come back.
We've got Neiman on under the cape here trying to overrule his call. It's really inconclusive at best.
Jax might have caught a little break there. Was Chris's foot in the end zone when he touched that football? On the slow-mo, it looks like maybe, but on the
you got to get that.
You can't call it.
You have to get that call at home, and South Dakota State did.
Shea will give it to Sharpnagel, and nothing doing there as the big man Justin Jacobs came down, made the tackle among others for State.
I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't try the naked. I see 14 patting his hip as he goes back, and the defensive end for South Dakota State really sucked down on a play away. A gutsy call because you're in the end zone, but it would be one of those that might go for 99. Unfortunately, the downside might be a safety. So we'll see what Minnesota State's mindset is right now.
Gain of about a half a yard is all. Still second and 9.5. Shea with both feet in the end zone. Got two wide receivers left. Sharpnagel, though, some good yardage this time, out across about the 7-yard line to give them some breathing room. Still going to be third down, though.
Really, now they have an opportunity to do anything they want. You know, once you get your feet out of the end zone, you feel that you can run most of your plays, and I think they'll just do what they feel is necessary to get the first down, not worry about the field position.
How about replay in college football? We're talking about, it's been mentioned in big-time D1 college football, but do you think it would work?
Well, it'd work, but I think it takes away from the game. It's an imperfect game. Players are imperfect. Officials are imperfect. What the heck? Let it stay a game and get it. There's no question that Minnesota State sometime in the next few plays will run the naked again. South Dakota State's not defending it, and that's one of the reasons they're defending the run so well, is that they've got everybody going towards the football, but they are leaving something open, and that is the quarterback on the naked. South Dakota State comes in up to the play. Now here's last week now, Mankato State had two of these go over their head on the punt snap, and resulted in a couple safeties. I guess that player is not snapping anymore, so this is a new person. So, same thing could happen.
Ryan Dutton, the senior, is the punter, right from his own 1-yard line. Gets off a good one this time.
Oh!
And this time, Marcus Owens, who's been making all those great plays defensively for Mankato, got there way too early.
That is one of those that, as a coach, you say, how possibly could that have young man done that? I mean, the kid's been playing a great football game. He's done everything right, and in no way, shape, or form was he even thinking about slowing down. They've got the halo rule in college as well as in pro. They've got to give him room, and it's like he forgot that rule and just ran right through the punt receiver. And Coach Runkle's visiting with him right now.
Kevin Brown is the man receiving for South Dakota State.
Now watch this. He just runs right through and tackles him. Now he's a freshman, and you have to, as a coach, I bet you Runkin, I think he did the right thing. You just bring him over and say, hey, that's a mess up. Make up for it.
I think Marcus Owens, the Mankato guy, thought he was going into another blocker. I don't think he thought that Kevin Brown was the guy catching the football.
That was amazing. Minnesota State's coming after him. They're in a man-to-man setup. DBs are looking at receivers.
They do bring
and
it.
That's what they did. They brought the edge, and actually South Dakota State had the right play on. They just didn't get through into the alley. If they had, it probably would have popped.
Dewey Riley was coming from the linebacker spot, and Nedved picks up just
right here. Now, if he can get outside there, there's a crease, and but he couldn't get there, and they got his legs tangled up. We need that telestrator so we can circle those things. You have any of those at KELO?
We tried that once.
Oh, it didn't work.
Coaches couldn't keep up.
Oh, okay.
2nd and 10 coming up, 38-yard line of Minnesota State. Chris Paul back to the right side of the line, and the Mavs claiming that somebody on the state line jumped.
To me, it looks like Minnesota State's decided they're going to come after him. I mean, I don't know in the second half. There's been a time yet where they've sat back, and it's either 2 inside, 2 outside, 1 outside from one side, 1 inside from the other. They're just going to, right now, here's what they know. They can cover the wide receivers one-on-one, so why not? Except the big run pops, too. That's the other negative.
So the procedure call against the Jackrabbits, 2nd and 15 coming up.
You know, this matchup has been tough for State for years. I think Minnesota State just has a way of playing South Dakota State tough, and this year it's no different.
Rennerfelt will swing to Nedved out of the backfield. Big yardage for Scott. First down, and then a couple all the way down to the 25-yard line of Minnesota State.
Now, that was actually a play that was designed against the blitz, but I don't think they came on the play. They had a free release for the back, and if it had been man-to-man coverage, they would have actually blocked or picked the linebacker responsible for him. Ended up being zoned, so they had a little bit better chance to cover it.
Mark Mokoff finally came up, made the stop, but a gain of 17 on the play, and it's 1st and 10. Rabbits from the 25-yard line of Minnesota State.
Here's Nelson. An odd front. This is the old Eagle front. This you don't see very often.
Nelson the block for Nedved. Not a whole lot of yardage, but he got 2.
Well, sometimes if you don't see something very much, hard to block, and they had all the gaps covered. It's there's so many players, so many gaps, and they get a player in every one, and they stop the play.
2nd and 8 coming up.
Got a player coming in late. Now, this is the setup here where they wanted to throw the ball to Brown. 20 came in, and they feel it's a blitz situation, so they're going to get him a free release by blocking it such that he doesn't have to take anyone. And they're just going to try to beat the safety or the linebacker that has it. And it's a linebacker on our corner shifted off.
Rennerfelt, all right, looking for Chris Paul and had him standing there, but...
Well, the way it worked, they had a better chance on top if they left him up there on the same play at the top. You know, it's fun being up here and being able to say after the fact what they should have done. But, again, a good defense. Right now, X and O-wise, Minnesota State is one play ahead of South Dakota State, and that's not where you want to be if you're South Dakota State.
3rd and 8 coming up. Barron wide right. Matt Arcady to the top. Nelson back in at the blocking back for South Dakota State. Rennerfelt looking for Paul again across the middle, but 5 Mavericks all over him. Giovanni Jenkins was the first one to get there, and
I think we'll see that there was a 4-week blitz, which is really tough to pick up unless you do what's called slide everybody back. And they have an extra guy coming, from the edge. The back had to take the person coming up the middle, and there's just no one to block the edge blitzer.
And it's like they got 13 guys out there, though. They're bringing guys, and still they're covering down.
They really have a good defensive game plan. And more importantly, they're executing it. The kids are playing.
All right, here's Andy Nelson. 45.5-yard field goal attempt. He's got a little breeze at his back. Gets it up. That's wide. Would have got there, but second miss of the day for Nelson in the field goal unit. So we stay at 7-7. A couple minutes to go in the 3rd. Back in Brookings, Minnesota State-Mankato. South Dakota State tied up 7-7. Mavericks take over at their own 28-yard line. Here's Shea. Scharfnagel, the pitch back. Andrew Shea, 10 yards. Give him about 14 yards. Ball comes loose again. Was he on the ground is the question. Official didn't know. Jackrabbits will get it.
That big play, the option was there, the alley was there. As we'll see, there's this crease, again, between the tackle and the wide receiver. And if the quarterback can find it, the pitchback takes the pitch. And the safety is the guy that has to make the play, or a linebacker scraping from the backside. Now, they called it a fumble. They're a heck of a lot closer, than we are, Tom. And so you really have to believe that it was a good call.
Joe Ford, the cornerback out of Brandon, came over, stripped it away as Shea was going down. So that's 4 turnovers now for Minnesota State.
South Dakota State really needs to do something with this now. And to me, it looks like they're either going to try it, fake action pass, and go for it all, or just play knocking around football. And that's what they're doing. They're getting after it. Good first down play. And I think that was really well conceived. They had a run formation, 2 tight end, 2 backs, 1 wide out, fake the run, and Rennerfeld gets it to the wide open tight end.
Andrew Brandt coming in there, number 87, making the catch, sophomore out of Rochester, Minnesota, his first grab. At 16 yards, that's the longest pass play other than the Nedved catch and run that State's had.
Same formation now. My guess is if I'm guessing, I think they'll come back and run the football. Just try to establish that they're just better. And right now, on the last 2 plays, they have them.
Nedved behind Nelson again, 7-yard gain. Scott Nedved broke every record in the Yankton High School record book. He was Gatorade Player of the Year. Just an unbelievable last couple of years in high school at Yankton.
I'm really impressed with him. Talked about it a little earlier, but for a kid to come here, have Ironic in front of you, stick it out, and be very productive as a kind of a second-team player, now a first-team player, says a lot about his what he's made up of.
Second and a short 3 at the 18-yard line of Minnesota State. Under a minute to go, third quarter is Nedved again. Nelson the lead block, first down, Rabbits.
If we get to see this again, you'll see an offensive line that's starting to come off the football. There is no defensive lineman for Minnesota State within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage there. Watch 95 get run off, 4 get run off, going backwards, 43 going backwards. And again, I think South Dakota State players have just decided this is enough, and let's close this one off.
Big Brad Beck, the center. Doug Schultz out of Garfield, Minnesota. On that interior line, along with Ben Studer, who's playing for Matt Rock, who's injured. This time, nice play defensively. Dewey Riley at the linebacker spot.
I think he's the leading tackler in the league. He really looks like a good football player. He's got the knack that most great linebackers do of seeing the open gap and taking it. And a couple times he's come in behind the play and made the play, and instead of going around the center. And as a linebacker, if you can do that, you're going to make a lot of one-on-one tackles behind the line.
Yep, Riley averaging 12 tackles a game. Rabbits trying to punch one in, though. That's the end of the third quarter. From Brookings, tied 7-7. We'll turn it around. Upset maybe brewing down in that Augustana, North Dakota State game at Sioux Falls. We'll check that out after this. Bobby Easlin, one of our fabulous production guys from KELO TV. There's Jamie.
This is a fade-type split.
Rennerfeld had it knocked at the line of scrimmage. And
as a coach, that just bugged you. It's like a no play. You don't get a chance to make the play. Defensive lineman comes up, knocks it down, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's a great play by the defensive player.
And it brings up third and long now from the 14-yard line.
I think they just called that North Dakota State Augie game.
You made a prediction on that earlier?
Well, I do that radio show for the Coyote Sports Network, and I picked that as the upset special, Augie over them. They're going to sue KELO because I've got an exclusive with them down there, Coughlin Broadcasting. They wanted me to tell you that.
Rennerfeld on third and long, and that one just at the feet of Nedved coming out of the backfield. He would have had to pick up another 12 yards once he caught the ball, but fourth and long coming up. That score down at Sioux Falls, by the way, Augustana 20, North Dakota State 16 with about a minute left in the third quarter.
And I'm an Augie grad, so, but I coached at North Dakota State. Now I'm living in Sioux Falls, so I'm going for Augie.
But why would you ever pick them to win today?
It was a mental deal. Augie had everything on the mental side going for him because of the wins and losses last week. Big field goal set up, ball's right in the middle of the field. This should be a fairly easy field goal.
Snap's good this time, and Nelson drills it through to give South Dakota State a 10-7 lead. Andy Nelson.
You know, if you want to win while you're kicking a soccer-style kicker from the right side, it's the one he had, because those kickers more often will hook the ball, and the wind is kind of blowing crossways that would have prevented that anyway. But he split it, and State has the lead.
Next weekend at the Sioux Empire Fairgrounds in Sioux Falls, the South Dakota Rodeo Association finals are Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We will tape all three of those performances. The Saturday evening performance, we will show it on Sunday, October 15th. That's next Sunday, starting at noon Central Time. Those are the South Dakota Rodeo Association finals in Sioux Falls next weekend.
Well, what wind there is down there, and it doesn't sound there's a lot, but there is some. Minnesota State's going to have here in the fourth quarter. So if they are going to throw the football, they do have that advantage. Again, the kickoff now won't be as deep as it has been, so there'll be a return opportunity, and the coverage for South Dakota State is definitely going to be challenged.
Ball at the 35-yard line. Nelson to boot it away. Bobby Ruffin back deep, and he will take it at his own 3-yard line. Good wedge right in the middle of the field, across the 25, across the 30 for Ruffin.
There's that leverage thing again. If we get a replay, you see that number 21 overshot the play, and that gives an extra 10. When you're playing off a blocker, you have to keep that blocker between you and the ball carrier, and he got past it, and the cutback was made. We'll see it on the bottom right here. Just as they break through, and just as he starts to cut back, you'll see 21 here overshoot the play right there, and now you've got the extra 8-9 yards.
So the return by Ruffin sets him up, 33-yard line, Minnesota State, 1st and 10. Here's Shea.
There's the naked that I mentioned was going to come pretty soon, and it was covered well as far as the route being covered.
Justin Jacobs got a paw on that one for South Dakota State.
And he's running out, no one in front of him. They used to run the boot. They don't run the bootleg anymore because the pulling guard gives the play away. They run the naked. And the way people defend things, the end is so responsible for the cutback on a run that he can't defend both things.
Well, the Mavericks did it with the pass on their scoring drive in the third quarter. He had Dan Weldon open down the sideline that time, but Shea again setting him down, little misdirection. Scharfnagel wrapped up right at the line of scrimmage.
That was the outside, the double-edged blitz again, and did it at the right time. The key is that one player goes under it that allows 46 to come in and make the play. If he would have stayed, that person that took on that first block would have stayed outside, the play would have gone inside, and that defensive player wouldn't have been a part of it. So good defensive call and good defensive execution.
Mr. Sioux Valley High School, Kyle Harrelson again on the tackle for SDSU, 3rd and 10, and shotgun now for Shea. Linebackers looking to come again. They come from the outside. Oh, wide open over the middle was Ruffin. The pass was a little bit behind him.
That time they've got an isolated situation where a back got on, a linebacker got on a back, and they had time. And that's not a matchup that you like with a lot of time. And South Dakota State was very fortunate.
So 4th and 10 coming up for the Mavs.
Now Brown has returned one for a touchdown, and he has had a lot of other excellent returns. He's a threat, and he's back for this one.
Went 68 yards and scored last week against Morningside. Got to let this one go, though. Good kick by Dutton. Good coverage by Adam Jerstead out of Burnsville, Minnesota. So 1st and 10, State at their own 16-yard line. USD is taking care of business down in St. Cloud today. Third quarter, Coyotes up 30-0 on South.
Yeah, USD is coming on. They are, first of all, are well coached. They've recruited well last couple of years. They're doing a lot of good things. St. Cloud is really down, and USD's kicking them around pretty good. UND's beating Morningside as expected, and UNO and UNC have a real tight one going 10-7 at Omaha.
SDSU still has to play the Coyotes. USD comes up here in 3 weeks. SDSU hits the road to North Dakota State and North Dakota in the next 2 weeks, which will be the true test. Here's Nedved on 1st and 10. That's about 6 or 7 yards.
Sorry, Tom, I think that's the first time Minnesota State has actually bluffed the bits and then set back. And usually if you're blitzing a lot, maybe about 1 out of 3 times you do that. You bluff it, you make it look like a blitz, you get the quarterback to check, and then you go on like that. And if you're heading the X and O game, it works. That time South Dakota State had the right play on.
2nd and a long 3 coming up for the Rabbits. Paul in motion again.
Unbalanced set.
Nedved trying to cut back and get outside, and does. He's got the first down and then some to the 33-yard line.
Football is a numbers game. My high school coach from Fairmont, Minnesota taught me that in 1967, and it remains that. And what happened that time is South Dakota State went unbalanced, which usually gives you an extra man, but Minnesota State covered it, went wide, and that gave up the backside. And so the cutback was there. So you attack the numbers game, but cut it back into the 1-2 feud, just and that slide right there.
Watch him run into the back of Brock Zierden, which is like hitting 3 guys. It takes a while to get around him.
That was, again, did you see this, how square Nedved's shoulders are to the line of scrimmage? That is what allows him to use the whole field.
Paul Carlson just came unabated that time and laid out Andy Rennerfeld.
One thing that South Dakota State could take advantage of is maybe going on that 2nd or 3rd count, Tom, because Minnesota State's got it timed perfect right now. They're coming off the ball at the snap and just beating the offensive player to the play. And so you go 2 or 3, and I think you're going to get an offsides here.
Scott Carlson, on the sack of Rennerfeld. So 2nd and 18 coming up for the Jacks, their own 24-yard line. Carlson blocked this time. Nedved, little sneak up the middle, and he picks up about 10.
And sometimes against that blitz, you just go right at it. And if there's a missed tackle or an arm tackle, they're sending 8 right now. And there's no center fielder. There's no pursuit because everybody's looking at the DB. See them coming now? And they get the block. And I think Minnesota State's just lucky that the corner stayed home.
They caught Riley coming up the middle that time, but
they are really throwing the book at them. This is interesting. Yeah. You usually find out if they're going to blitz by if those corners are looking at the receivers or not, and they weren't. So it's zone defense. That's what it is. No, they just got him a 4. Brought 4 and got the sack.
Lance Louie came in and made the sack. Rennerfeld had maybe 2-3 ticks there to get rid of it, but the coverage again by Marcus Owens.
And here's the replay. They had a zone route or a man-to-man route on, and it was a zone defense. And so unless you can adjust the route, there's no one to throw to. You could see, as you said, Andy had time to throw, but there just wasn't anything open.
Jason Langland in the front for the Jacks.
Langland will have to boot it away, 4th and 12 for South Dakota State. Just over 10 minutes to go here in the 4th, and the Mavs looking for their first win.
Well, you have to give them credit. They're playing a heck of a football game, especially on defense. And
they come after the kick, and they get it. The block, and Minnesota State is going to score on the blocked punt. Mark Mokoff will take it in after the block by Rainey Briggs, the senior linebacker who came in and got it.
Well, he was not touched at the line of scrimmage, and we'll need to see, what happened there. Obviously, someone blew an assignment. Oh, we didn't see it. But usually when that happens, someone who was supposed to step inside didn't, and just left the gap wide open. There's always one person inside on punt protection. It has to take 2. And it's just the way it's set up because you can't count on the center for blocking. Obviously, we didn't get him the 2 blocks.
Well, Harrelson had a piece of him, and it looked like Briggs was going down and still got a hand on the football. Well, so the Mavs go up 13-10, and Barons trying to make it more than a field goal advantage. Snap's good, holds there, and it's 14-10, Minnesota State. Just under 10 minutes to go, 9:58 to play in the fourth. Jack's back on offense when we come back. Mike Daly, Minnesota State is just playing with nothing to lose. They're coming out and letting it hang.
Well, the aggressive nature of their football team is back. That's how they used to play, and they're playing that way right now. They're just throwing everything to the wind, all caution, and coming after everything, and it's working.
Barons will let it fly. Kicking it away from Brown, and it stays inbounds. Good break for the Mavs again, and Jackson
that could have gone
under 20.
That easily could have gone out if it had. South Dakota State would have the ball at 35. It didn't, and it's at the 20. So, you know, the dynamic of the football game, unfortunately for South Dakota State, fortunately for Minnesota State, is across the way. And South Dakota State's going to have one or two players now just rise above it all, make the plays they're all capable of making, and go out and win the game by yourself. That's the challenge you have to make as a coach.
Once again, I want to mention the SDSU Marching Band, the Pride of the Dakotas, will be on tour next month in November. Check your local paper for information. They'll be stopping somewhere near you. Great performance here today, and they are something to see. The SDSU Pride of the Dakotas Marching Band. Check them out if you do get a chance.
That drum line is unbelievable on that band.
They are.
They'd be tough to coach, though, because they're pretty cocky, but they're good. They can back it up, but they are a fun bunch to watch, and Jimmy McKinney just does a great job with that band. I always wanted to stay out on the field at half and watch them instead of going to the locker room.
They get you fired up.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, in fact, I told McKinney once, they had a big reason that we beat North Dakota State back in '93. They came in the stadium at the right time, howling, and our players just went straight up in the air.
Rennerfeld wants to talk about it. We're going to take time out as well. 9:18 to play in the fourth.
Yeah.
All right, the block punt, taken back for a touchdown, has given the Mavericks a 14-10 lead. Here's
South
Brown.
Dakota State should have something because the numbers game was on their side. That was the unbalance. That time, Minnesota State didn't compensate for it, and the onside play was there. And now you can see why they used Brown. He got through that crease unbelievably fast.
Play they tried to run in the first half when they fumbled, but Brown, the redshirt freshman out of Colorado, a lot of quicks, picks up a first down out over just short of the 34-yard line for State.
Staying in the run formation, two tight ends, two backs.
Rennerfeld looking long. Shepherdson is out there, and again, a little contact there with Marcus Owens, but Owens just running alongside.
Yeah, he's just covering everything, and he had that under control the whole way. He actually played it outside in, which you shouldn't in a man-to-man situation, but he's got so much speed that he was able to just come over the top. Excellent fake. Watch Andy fold over the fake. That was a nice job. Put the ball on his hip. He's a little long on passes all day today, which if you're going to have it one way or the other, you want it long because you don't get them intercepted. But there's been games where he's put that right on the fingertips.
2nd and 10. To give this time, Nedved with some pretty good yardage, about close to 9 yards.
I think they can keep running that play until Minnesota State stops them. It's the one thing that they're kind of leaving go a little bit, that outside power play, and South Dakota State might be well just to keep running the same thing.
Give him 8. It's 3rd and 2 for the Rabbits. Own 42-yard line. Andy Rennerfeld, senior quarterback for the Rabbits. Jefferson coming again to Nedved.
There it is
Same
again.
play, other
Yep.
side.
Yep.
About 5 more yards for Scott Nedved.
Well, again, that's good coaching, I think, by South Dakota State. They see that they've got a defense that's just giving up that play to stop something else, and they're continuing to run it.
And
Plus, it eats up time. As long as you score, you're okay when you're eating up time.
That's the key, huh? You got to score.
Yeah.
John Hodorf is in there at the blocking back. Always does a great job. 240-pound junior out of Hot Springs, South Dakota. In front of Nedved, and again, little bend back this time. Just maybe a yard.
It was a similar play. Linebacker blitzed, a run blitz rather than a pass blitz, and came up the backside crease to make the play. What has to happen there, lineman's got to come off on him, and they didn't. There's the flag. It's only a breeze, and it's not a factor.
And I don't know if you can tell it from that picture or not, but a little snow flurries. Again, we had them about an hour before game time, and just a little flutter of white starting to come down again.
Official timeout for something.
We don't have those in the
An equipment or...
Scott Carlson coming off for either medical or equipment reason. John Carlson will come in and replace him. So still second and long for the Jackrabbits. 7:04 on the clock in the fourth.
We might try to get Nelson to the flat here. He's really got a wide position on it and allow him to get out quick.
Rennerfeld looking for Barron. He's got him this time. 36-yard line, and Brock Barron with the catch for the first down for State.
Yeah, I think Brock has the speed that Owens has to honor. So the out then becomes the play. You know, he stopped the post 2 or 3 times. Watch Brock come back for the football here. Perfectly thrown ball to the outside. Can't be intercepted. This is naked. Good fake. He gets his shoulders squared up, sets, and just a great route. That's great football.
Brock Barron out of Omaha, little brother of Brett. Brett played here. And Brock is kind of surpassed the great numbers that
he has. He's done a great. What a great family. What a great family.
Here's
Unbalanced.
Good pursuit from the inside this time by the Mavs, and that's the man who just came in there, John Carlson.
When I was recruiting Brock, I was in his home after, we recruited Brett and had a good thing here, and we were eating. His mom's a great cook, and we were chowing down, and Brock started telling me about his pet. So I said, oh, let's, go show me your pet. Walk upstairs with about a 15-foot python wrapped around his body. It was the ugliest thing I've ever seen. Then he went down and got another one, a green one.
And you still want
it? We were going to go half on him. We went full. Anyone that can take care of pythons can play football, I think. And he's been a great kid, great player.
2nd and 9. Rennerfeld gives to Brown again. A little bit of room. Slips the tackle, and he's going to be short of the first down by a couple of yards, but a good run again by Kevin Brown.
And not taking anything away from Kevin Brown, but Josh Wanek in the game on that play, and we're South Dakota State's ahead. Josh has got such strong legs, he just pulls through those tackles, and Brown is more of the speed type of guy that you can tackle with one hand sometimes.
That's a great burst Ronick does, and again, Ronick out with the separated shoulder injury today, says he wants to be back next week when the Rabbits go to North Dakota State. 3rd down and 2. Here's Francois. And he just might have got it with the lunge there. Rodney Francois, another redshirt freshman.
What they're doing is they're forcing Minnesota State's defensive backs to make the tackles on that power play. The linebackers are coming inside. They're kicking out the outside linebacker, and there's only one person left. That's a DB. And they usually aren't productive tacklers from the standpoint of being able to just take them straight down. So 3rd and short, you feel you can fall forward for the first down, even if they're for free and unblocked.
They like those Deion Sanders tacklers. As long as you get them down,
he would have been fun to
hurt, right? Now, look at the lunge at the end here. He needed to get just across the 30, and he did.
He tackled the legs, and he just about gets there. Now, linebacker makes that play, and he hits him in the teeth, and it goes straight down, and now it's 4th and 1. But DB is forced to, and now it's 4th and an inch.
Ball came down, just had his helmet across the 30, but the ball was just short, so.
I still don't know how officials make those spots. It's an enigma to me.
Exact science. 4th and about a foot here for South Dakota State. Huge play with 5:18 to go. They're down 14-10.
I've seen them go for the bomb here in the last couple of years. Tom.
Jefferson left, coming in motion.
They've got the wrong guy in there, though.
Nedved smacked at the line of scrimmage, but he got the first down.
I think if Barron would have been in there, you'd have seen it. But Shepardson was in, so that indicated they were just going to go for it. Good play. Good call.
Doug Schultz and company, good blocking again. Up front, Nedved just gets the yard he needs.
That's good. Good, strong, short yardage play. Good physical football. And that's what they're doing, really. They're just challenging Minnesota State right now. This first 2 wideout formation they've had probably in the last 10 plays.
Barron wide left.
Pressure's on.
Blitz coming up the middle. Rennerfeld's got to get rid of it. Excellent job to escape. He's got a man wide open. That is Nedved out of the backfield. Scott Nedved touchdown. What a job by Rennerfeld.
Yeah, he's just such a gamer, and he's a great head on his shoulder. They called it out.
And they're going to call him out of bounds.
Wow.
Is that right?
Just on his own. Wow.
Yeah, a little pressure there. Our man on the field, Travis Fossing, says he was out at the 3-yard line.
The worst thing, again, that can happen on a blitz is loss of containment. And when we run it again, we'll see that the wide blitzer on the top side just lost containment. Now the coverage breaks down, and you have a chance for the big play. Didn't count it.
All right, so 1st and goal from the 3. After the hook up to Nedved, he goes back to the I spot. Shepardson left. There's that straight ahead dive to Scott Nedved to the goal line. Did he get in?
Got in. That was good running. He really had 2 chances. He could have taken it inside like he did or taken it outside, and I think he would have scored either place. The blocking was just excellent.
So Scott Nedved from Yankton, his 2nd touchdown of the game for South Dakota State.
In the last, okay, here's the play now. Oh, this is the pass play. Now watch, see the rusher on top, loses containment, 43. And a DB isn't always going to do that well on containment. Once it's broken down, everything falls apart in the secondary, and he completed that.
Nelson to finish it off. This is an important extra point here. It'll give State a 3-point lead. Snap's good, hold down. And he pulled it a little bit, but got it through. So as we go to the break here, take a look at the touchdown run by Nedved, 17-14 Jacks, with 4:30 to go in the 4th.
Same power play. They've just been running, and you could see the crease would have been there outside, too. See where 74 is? There's no defensive player. But Nedved, again, kept his shoulder square of the goal line and just, I think, wanted a little bit more than their people. Nedved has scored on 1 out every 6 times he's carried the ball or something, some amazing statistic. And that was a great run. Kickoff, again, the wind holds it up a little bit. There's a chance for a return here.
Evan Blanks, again, shy of the 30-yard line.
South Dakota State's done a good job on coverage. There's been chances, but someone through pursuit has always prevented the big play. Now it's the defense that really turned it to win the football game. And I think that's the most improved part of South Dakota State's team from last year to this year, and I think you're putting the win on the right set of shoulders right now. Let the defense go out and get it done.
29-yard line, 1st and 10, Minnesota State. Scharfnagel, I think at about 5, out to the 35-yard line.
That's not going to hurt them. If they can just hold 4 or 5 yard runs, they're going to be fine. They just can't give up the big one right now.
Both teams 2 timeouts left, under 4 minutes on the clock now. 3:54 and ticking.
Minnesota State has really increased their tempo. They're getting out of the huddle before South Dakota State even has the call in. So Coach Eder will have to speed that baby up a little bit.
Nagel again, first down, and a bunch more, almost to the 50 short, about the 49-yard line, first down, though.
I hate to repeat myself, but now when we see it again, we'll see 42 from the top, who should be the leverage player. He should be staying behind the ball, keeping blockers in between he and the ball carrier, and he allows the cutback, and the cutback is where the big plays occur.
Danny Weldon comes wide right for the Mavs. Tower 9 in motion. Shea gives to Schroffnagel again. Riding their main back, who's close to 100 yards on the afternoon.
Well, Dave, there's a little guts on Minnesota State's team, too. The movement of that play, the whole game was played on South Dakota State's side of the ball, which means the offense was moving the defensive linemen. And this late in the game, usually defensive linemen get a little tired, and it looks like they are, and the offense is winning.
Big Brett Frischke, 300-pounder at the center spot, leading that surge. Hermsdorf in motion on 2nd and 7. The pressure coming from the outside, and a flag down here on the near sideline.
I think there was movement, or a person might even lined up off. I'm not sure. They've got the extra man there with that flex slot formation, and they really got to the alley really quick.
It's going to go against the Jackrabbits. Declined. They picked up the first down on the run, so inside the South Dakota State 40. Take another look here.
40-yard line.
Not sure.
I couldn't
Brandon
see.
Thiese was 47 coming there on the outside. He might have crossed over before the snap.
That's the Fairmont guy.
Yep. Tower 9 the other way. Here's Shea. Schroffnagel, and
Big play.
this time big Matt Anderson.
Yeah, that's what you need. Someone's just got to go out and make a play when things are going this way, and looks like he stepped up and decided to be the person. It's fun to see late in the game who makes the plays. It really is, and it isn't usually the star. It's someone else that just starts cranking it up, and you're just so proud of those kids when they do that.
2nd and 9, crowd coming alive, under 2 minutes now, 1:50 to go. Schroffnagel got shoved outside. Good job by Phil Oxness.
Excellent
Bring that
pursuit.
play out.
You look at all the blue over there, and there was only one that wasn't over there, and that was Dale Hayden, and he wasn't supposed to be over there because he had the cutback. But great defensive pursuit. Yeah, they just weren't going to let that play hurt him. Now 3rd and 9. This has been South Dakota State's forte on defense all year, and Minnesota State has had a tough time completing a 3rd and 9.
You come hard here or just play it straight up?
Well, their nature is to come at it, and they have confidence in it. I guess they probably will.
Tight formation. One receiver left.
And here they come. That's a triple X.
Coming. Shea gets it off, though. He's got his man. Colin Bryant gets the first down for Minnesota State.
Now, somehow, Keith Canupi, who had that person man-to-man, got tripped up and fell down or picked, and maybe we'll see it here on the replay. But watch 55, and I couldn't see it, and he was down. He was supposed to cover him. The blitz was designed that way, and for whatever reason, didn't get it covered.
There's another look.
There it is.
Somehow they picked up 7 guys.
Yeah, there is down. Well, it could have been a blitz and engage, too. That's a little more technical, but...
Clock ticking. Minute 18 to go in the 4th. Mankato down by a field goal. Schroffnagel again gets 5 yards.
Clock's running. There's timeouts on both sides of the ball. There's 2 apiece. So, the time isn't going to run out on anyone, I don't think.
It's down to 1 minute right now.
The speed they're doing, it almost looks like they're going to go for the field goal and play overtime. I'm surprised at that.
50 seconds to go. 2nd and 5. Schroffnagel again. See if he can bust one, maybe. All the way down to the 16-yard line. It's a first down. Clock stopped at 43 seconds.
Well, here is a time you wish someone can just make a play without having to go after him every time. And that's what South Dakota State has to do right now, which means offensive linemen are taking care of the defensive linemen, and someone just has to come up with a play. This is why you play college football, to make this play, be challenged with it.
Timeout, Minnesota State. They still have one remaining. 43 seconds on the clock.
You know, when I recruited, I always told kids, we want the kind of kids that want the play, if you're on defense, to come at you when it's 4th and 1. They're coming at you. Touchdown wins for the conference championship. You want it to come at you or run away from you. And you wanted the kids that want, and we want 11 guys out there right now that want the play to come right at them. And if you've got that mindset, you're going to win.
Minnesota State's lost 4 fumbles in the game, but they've really taken care of the ball since about midway through the third quarter.
Well, I think you'd have to say Minnesota State has kind of come of age, if that's the right word or whatever, but they have played a real fine football game.
1st and 10 at the South Dakota State 16-yard line. 43 seconds left. Option this time. Shea doesn't want to risk the pitch, and he picked up about 4 yards.
That was an interesting call. Good call. Option against a blitz a lot of times will pop because your linebackers are going inside and you don't have anyone to scrape. Here is where I think South Dakota State's confidence really has to help them. They have won so many football games in the last 2 minutes, in the last 2 years. It's amazing. And I think every mind out there really believes they're going to win. It's just a matter of when we're going to stop them. But that winning feeling has a way of coming through in these situations.
That was Minnesota State-Mankato's last timeout, so they are out of timeouts now. 36 seconds left. And they've been running the football, so what do you do in this situation?
Well, I
do you
think,
try a pass in the end zone?
I think you almost have to. I wouldn't be surprised to see that little naked play where you have a run-pass option, put a little pressure on that end. But then, go on a long count to see if they're going to blitz so you can check out of it if they do come, because it's a dead play if you run it into it. So we'll see how smart we are here.
Nice little drive. Shea hasn't had to do a whole lot of anything. He's just been solid and taking care of the football. 2nd and 6 from the SDSU 12-yard line. There's the shot in the end zone. Looking for... Oh, no. The touchdown catch. They indicate the touchdown. He kept 1 foot in right at the back of the end zone. It's Dan Weldon with the one-handed grab. Touchdown, Minnesota State.
Well, a heck of a play. The kid made the play. The kid made the throw. I think Dale Hayden had excellent coverage on it. It was just one of those things where the quarterback put it the only place possible for the ball to be caught, and he caught it. That's football. South Dakota State did not come after him that time. Looks like there was a little contact just before the receiver broke to the fade, and Hayden got turned around.
So the extra point here will put Minnesota State up by 4 if it's successful. It is. Behrens kicks it through. And how about Shea, the redshirt sophomore quarterback, trying to solidify his spot as the starter? The touchdown with 30 seconds left to Weldon.
Well, I think he's solidified it. He has done a great job. He really, in the second half, he's been the dominant force in the football game. And you got to give him credit because South Dakota State's been throwing the whole playbook at him. I mean, there's nothing left in that playbook defensively, and he's done a good job of taking care of it. Now it's all up to the special teams and, 2 or 3 throws downfield and hope for something great to happen.
Rabbits have 2 timeouts left. Return here is the big key. Barron and Brown back.
They're in a stack back there so that they can't kick away from one of the 2 if they want to. They'll split just as the kicker's coming up. My guess is he'll squib it and just give no chance for a return, or at least a return with any timing at all.
Behrens will put a boot in it from the 35, and now they do split. Brown goes to the far side of the field.
There's the squib, and now the timing is, is just gone.
They do get it to Brown. Going to be decent field position. Can he get outside a little bit more? But out to the 37, a lot of time ticking off.
A lot of time.
Lost 6 seconds there, 24 seconds left.
That was really a nice kick. He really used the onside style, kicked the upper half of the ball, made it pop over that third line, and got just what they wanted out of it. Here, is where Brock Barron probably is the guy that gives you the chance to win the football game. He's the guy with the speed and the catching ability to do it. Plus, he's got the matchup they want. They've got 21 on him instead of 1, and this is good for South Dakota State. Okay.
They send Barron to the top of your screen, wide right. Here's Rennerfelt with the clock winding down. He's got his man. There's Arcady, stays in bounds.
Now, I don't know if that was the old hook and ladder, Tom.
Was there coming?
Yeah, you see, there's a flare guy coming around here on the bottom that if they'd have been a little closer and he had a little more time, he could have tossed it.
Clock stops on the first down yardage, 17 seconds to go. And Rabbits got to get a touchdown here, down by 4. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back to Brookings after this. All right, 17 seconds left. Wind has picked up a little bit, blowing right in South Dakota State's faces, Andy Rennerfelt's face. 17 seconds left. State has 1 timeout remaining.
A lot of times in this situation, you'll try to bump those receivers so they can't get down the field as quick, and they're just giving them a free release so they can go ahead and run their routes.
Looking right to Barron's side this time. He wants it all. Barron is out there. But there's that man again. It wouldn't have been catchable anyway, but Owens was there defensively.
Well, I think their defensive coordinator said, hey, wait a minute. We've got the matchup that we don't want. And last time 21 was on them, and they flipped and got Owens on them, and the coverage was there.
12 seconds to go. 2nd and 10.
Well, you really don't have a choice but to try to throw it up. In college, though, now as a defensive back, if there's any chance, just interfere because it's just a 15-yard play. It isn't the whole play. So someone's going to have to come up with a miracle here.
Looking for Arcady this time. Had it on his fingertips, and it was right there. Good pass.
If he catches it, it's gone because he had dropped underneath the DB, and the play was there. It just couldn't quite make the play. Probably one shot here.
6 seconds left.
And the hope is they don't bump the receivers, so at least they get a free release, and maybe something good can happen. This would really be pulling it out now, but it isn't over.
Trips right. They go with Barron, Jerry, and Buckles all to the top of your screen.
They're going to try the tip deal, probably. The first guy that comes to is going to tip it.
Mavs with 5 guys back there.
Oh, Andy.
Good toss. Could be a chance here. And Barron is on the bottom of that pile, but it's incomplete.
Wow.
Ball game, Minnesota State-Mankato with a big upset victory here. It's Mankato's first win of the season. They win at 21-17. First loss of the year for South Dakota State.
And that's why they play the games, Tom. On paper, there's no way that you could foresee this happening. Here at South Dakota State, Hobo Day, 5-0, 0-5, and you play the game because this is what young men can do, and that's a great thing about sport is that you start over every week and have an opportunity to show what you can do.
And defensively, what a job by Minnesota State. South Dakota State came in averaging 39 points and 450 yards total and held to 17 points, and I don't have any official stats, but they can't be more than 200 yards total on the game.
Yeah, it was a heck of a defensive game, and I bet John will be the first one to say they just beat us, and all the hats off to Minnesota State. They deserved to win and did.
All right, we will be back to Brookings after this to wrap it up. 21-17 is the final. Minnesota State-Mankato on top.
Is sponsored by Har & Lemmy, building homes and neighborhoods for Sioux Falls. Farm Credit Services of America, everything you need to grow. Sioux Valley Hospital, one of America's best. Wells Fargo, the next stage. And by Subway, the way a sandwich should be. Central Conference Football on KELO TV is sponsored by the American Dairy Association. On behalf of your local dairy farmers who ask, got milk? The Sports Medicine Center at the Orthopedic Institute, the best medicine for athletes. And Coca-Cola. Enjoy.
All right, 21-17, Minnesota State-Mankato on a touchdown pass with 30 seconds left. There is the catch by Dan Weldon off the pass from the sophomore quarterback Andrew Shea, and that is the game winner. They boot the extra point. 21-17 is the final. Scott Nedved filling in for the injured Josh Ronick, 2 touchdown runs, and they just never really got the offense totally in sync tonight.
Well, I think it shows you how important Ronick is to the football team. There's something about when he's in there, it's that old deal, everybody else plays better, you have more options, and they missed him. Nothing against Nedved, but you can't take maybe the best running back of all time after next year, yards-wise, and expect to play as well.
Mike Daly, former South Dakota State coach. Thank you, sir. It's been great.
That was fun. A lot easier. You know, my gut's going to feel a lot better tonight than it does for Coach Stegelmeyer. So hats off to everybody that stays in this, and Tommy did a nice job, and the whole state. I was really happy that you showed this football game. Thank you.
All right, that's it from Brookings. 21-17, the final on Hobo Day, Minnesota State-Mankato over the Rabbits. For the KELO crew, I'm Tom Neiman. For Travis Fossing and Coach Mike Daly, we'll see you.